Three-man front, Jocks 94.5, Pat Smith, Landrum, Robert, Smalley Robinson, Conrad Van Order with you until 2 o'clock. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday. A little chilly this morning in the Metroplex. Landrum's wearing shorts. He's getting ready for the Masters. Is it okay if we talk about the Masters? I don't know if I got a memo that said we couldn't talk about it or not.
I'm going to allow it.
Good. I'm glad.
Yes. Hope our other. Oh, look at Molly.
Got my azalea shirt on.
Look at you. Are you allowed to wear that?
I didn't know you were an Iggy Azalea fan. That's really cool. Look at you.
I haven't heard that name in a
I
long
haven't
time.
either.
Conrad.
Does she still make music?
I recognize
hope
that
not.
name.
Yeah, me too.
I hope not.
It must be a blast from the past.
Conrad must have been listening to that on his way in this
Oh,
morning.
of course.
Iggy Azalea. What was her?
Work.
How's it go?
Work.
Didn't she have the I'm So Fancy song?
Oh, that one too.
It's
yeah.
like that was the one I was thinking of.
Speaking of azaleas, how many azaleas do you have blooming right now in your yard?
3. I ripped out all the other ones.
Did you really?
Yeah, they were just in an unsightly place. You should have seen the root balls on those things. Root balls. They were big, really heavy. Those things that have apparently been growing in my front yard. But no, azaleas are beautiful. I love azaleas. But yeah. Why? Do you have a lot of azaleas?
Yeah, mine are blooming right now.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
That's why I was curious.
No, I used to have a lot where I used to live. But then when I got to my new house, I didn't want to deal with it. And it was right there on the walkway. I was like, who planted these?
That's the way I felt about my junipers last
And then
year.
trying to get them out, I had to hook them to a chain and a tow strap to the back of my truck. Still have the skid marks in my driveway.
I was about to say, good thing they're in the driveway.
Yeah, you heard skid marks and your antennas went up.
That's
but
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Huh. Look at that. That's your own little butler cabin.
Oh, pretty.
Keep the gators away from them.
I know. I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
That's good. Good fiber for the gators.
Is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just assume. Gator could probably digest a azalea.
That's why the moat's there.
Oh, very nice.
Fiber, skid marks.
Yeah.
Off to a strong start this morning.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yep. Cut my grass yesterday. We'll just add that to the list. It's nice.
Did not get around to mine yesterday.
Need to sharpen my mower blade.
Yeah.
A little bit of thatch there. Trying to work it all out. All right. Gardening 101.
I just got a text. Brian Edwards will not be on the show today. I was looking forward to celebrating.
Why?
Brian's got internet problems.
Oh.
He's got technicians. He's got all sorts of people at his house. So he was worried that he would not have these people out of his house by the time he joins us at 10:45. So
that adds to the segment.
Well, it's probably better because he would do a victory lap and it'd make all of us sick.
Well, the reality is he's still on his, what would this be, 72-hour bender right now? He probably hasn't slept since.
You're probably right.
Since Monday night.
You're probably right. So no Brian Edwards, but coming up at 10:15, Ben Portnoy from the Sports Business Journal, bless his heart, he was involved in the 7+ hour Zoom call with the U.S. District Judge on Monday dealing with the NCAA House hearing. So we're going to get the very latest, what exactly it means from him. He wrapped up the 7+ hour meeting with her, and then he went over to the Alamo Dome. So he did that from his hotel room in San Antonio, and then he was at the game on Monday night. So we'll talk to Ben about that and a bunch of other subjects. Coming up later at 11:30, Skip Holtz, who is the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions. The home opener is Friday night at Protective Stadium, so we will talk to Coach about that. And then coming up later in the show, we will have Peter Raderkus on the show from the AL.com. He covers the Auburn Tigers. We will talk to him about the bow on the college basketball season, and then we will also talk to him about what's coming up on Saturday, which is, I don't even know what to call it. What are we officially calling it, Conrad? Scrimmage, practice, A-Day?
Spring fling.
It's like a carnival.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what it is?
Well, yeah. You're going to get a lot of different drills, like carnival games.
I think football and fellowship.
Okay. It's another terminology for it.
That would work on the planes. Yeah.
Bring the family in. Family football fellowship.
I like it.
A sermon on the field at Jordan Hare.
See, Conrad and Molly don't remember, but when Terry Bowden was the head coach of Auburn, every single year he would come up with a slogan. Do you remember that, Landrum?
Yeah. Audacious.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Or is that audacity?
I think it was audacity.
It was audacity.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
Every year he would come up with something playing off the AU.
If you did have a guest speaker that came in like an evangelist or somebody that was preaching a message, you could call it the altar call.
How about that?
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
He's got a million of
good.
them, folks.
I was about to
He's in
say.
town
That's
all
good.
week.
You've just been waiting to use those.
Yes.
It's been in his back pocket. He told me yesterday at Social Taco, I really hope Conrad brings this up. I got all this material.
Yes.
So speaking of Auburn, I saw this last night. If you have not read Chris Lowe's piece in which he had a sit down with Hugh Freeze, there's one specific part of this article that I wanted to get your take on. So in this article, he says, Freeze said the supporting commitment from Auburn Chancellor Christopher Roberts and Athletic Director John Cohen couldn't be stronger. And in the world of name, image, and likeness, Auburn is going all in on locking in key players financially. The payroll for the 2025 roster will exceed $20 million for the football team. Does that number surprise you in regards to it's high, it's low, it's about right, where they're spending their money? What are you hearing? The $20 million, did that shock you?
The $20 million, just based on other amounts that we'd heard in previous years, it looks like that they've stepped up that amount, because I don't think it was $20 million that was reported or believed to be the case last year.
So I did a little digging last night.
I just keep remembering the $21 million that we heard. Wasn't it $21 million we heard from Ryan Day at Ohio State originally? That's what it was going to take for his roster retention.
It was 2021, something like that. And then there were some people that came out and said maybe Texas had gotten up to 25 million because we thought Ohio State had the most expensive, and now maybe it looks like it was
It was
Texas.
not Texas, but I was told last night of another Southeastern Conference school that did not make the college football playoff last year, that their number was 25 million last year. And they did not make the college football playoff, and they were a Southeastern Conference school. So you can do the math.
Yeah, I think I can figure out who that was.
One that we were maybe expecting to be in the playoff that was not.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was told. So if that was the case, then there was a lot of pissed off people based on the amount of money that they spent on that. So then my question is, $20 million for that Auburn roster. Who was the most expensive person on that roster? Is it Cam Coleman? Is it Jackson Arnold? Is it Deuce Knight? Who's the most expensive player?
I would think Arnold right now.
Man, I'm going to think Cam Coleman. Original deal, and then what they paid to retain him.
So if their payroll is $20 million on this football team, you think Cam Coleman is getting how much of the $20 million? We're speculating. Nobody knows. Nobody probably will ever know. I'm just curious. What are we thinking? $2 million?
$2 million.
Okay. High or low?
That's probably about right. I would think. My question would just be, for Jackson Arnold, is that, are we talking $2.5 million? Or I mean, maybe they got him for less than Cam Coleman. I would just think with the quarterback and being a former 5-star recruit and all that, like.
Well, Deuce Knight wasn't free.
No, he was not.
And based on Mike Gitten's report, that Deuce Knight has not turned the ball over one time in spring practice.
He's electric.
I don't know if that's De'Aaron King type stuff or what's going on.
Well, I don't know how much you make of that. I think that's a good sign.
Okay, so how many guys? Okay, so Cam Coleman, Jackson Arnold, Deuce Knight. I think, do we all agree they're all in the 7 figures?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you think there are other people on the roster that are also in the 7 figures? Or do you think that's it? And those are the bulk of that $20 million is those 3 guys?
I wouldn't even venture to guess, because that's all it would be at this point, based on some of the numbers we hear from other folks of what kids are getting, high-profile guys out of high school getting $1.5 million in their own shoe.
I bet you Singleton from Georgia Tech is getting 7 figures.
Okay, that's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, Singleton.
Yeah. Add him on there.
Yep.
See, I'd be curious to find out what like a Perry Thompson or a Malcolm Simmons, what are they getting? in NIL because very highly touted coming out of high school.
Yeah.
You probably had to pay a premium to keep them on your roster. But at least in Perry Thompson's case, we just didn't see him a lot last year. So how much are you
My
paying
guess
for
would
that?
be everybody in the signing class, you probably get a minimum. There's a minimum amount where maybe it's $100,000.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the reason we're talking about this is because it is in print. I mean, there is an article in which that is the number. It says the payroll for the 2025 roster will exceed $20 million. And as soon as I saw that, I immediately started reaching out to other people that I trust in the Southeastern Conference to say, hey, if Auburn is spending $20 million, where is this school? What are they spending? You know, what are we talking about? What's the threshold here? And then I reached out to try to get confirmation on those names that we just mentioned. Are these the high ticket items for Auburn football this year? This is the world we live in now, is payroll, negotiations, NIL, transfer portal, all that fun stuff. So,
and I guess it was probably about a month, maybe 2 months ago that I think it was Pete Nakos with On3 that they put out a story about, who was spending the most on their roster this offseason so far. And Auburn they were in that top group. Didn't have the exact number. Now maybe we do, but
yesterday during the show, I went and I pulled up, and that was a 2003 revenue report from the SEC schools, and you had basically, if you broke it down into tiers, Pat, you had Alabama, Auburn, kind of in that same mix. Of course, Texas A&M, they were right there at the top, along with Texas. Tennessee, I think, was in that group, but they would be, if you had tiers, according to. Now, this is separate, but revenue, athletic department, and you're just trying to associate, then Auburn and Alabama, they would be in that top tier in the SEC. How that translates to your collective, and then when we eventually get the revenue sharing, what is that going to look like? How does that affect the pie?
revenue sharing, which for football is probably going to be 90% of what you're spending.
Yeah. This is why if I was a head coach, I would trust my staff and people that I put into place and say, go ahead and consummate the deal. And let me know if you have any hiccups or hangups.
Just make it happen.
Just make it happen. I've got too many other things to worry about. You figure that out with that agent.
So speaking of agents,
He just better be
speaking
on the
about
field.
payroll, NIL, and everything else, U.S. District Judge Claudia Wilkin made headlines on Monday. Ben Portnoy from the Sports Business Journal will join us next. We'll get his take on what he witnessed. He sat through 7+ hours of a Zoom call of the hearing. We'll talk to him next and find out what is going on with the NCAA moving forward. This is Jocks 94.5. You might be wondering why we're playing that song. It's because Molly's got her Iggy Azalea shirt on, right?
That's exactly right.
Show the audience.
Looks good, doesn't it?
There you go. Say something.
Looks good, doesn't it? The pink azalea shirt
Yes.
with the Masters logo
Looks
on it.
so good, Iggy.
It's a double extra large, but I'm still gonna wear it.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Did you steal it from your
For my what?
chubby friend?
No.
Oh.
No, I had a friend that went to the
What?
Masters last year and bought it for
Chubby
me.
friend.
I don't know.
What was?
I was going back to her bachelorette party weekend.
Oh my.
Remember? It was like,
Was there?
no, that she
Was
didn't have
there
any chubby. But I was like, it's
have
always
no idea what you're
it's
talking
always
about.
it's always the chubby friend that starts complaining at the end of the trip. Remember that?
What has happened?
Conrad remembers that. No, I'm not saying that she has a chubby friend. It's a 2X, and that's what she's wearing it. And I was throwing
was
it
there
back
a chubby
to that.
person there on the
No.
at the bachelorette party?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I missed something. I don't know. I follow you on social media. I didn't see a
Clearly,
chubby
I missed
friend.
something too.
So
That was the girl taking the picture.
Stop.
I'm kidding.
Stop.
Oh my gosh. Everybody chill out. I hope the friend that doesn't exist is not listening.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable. So
that's a tough
that's
transition
why,
right there.
Yeah.
Good job.
So that's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. And right now you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor with select Trane home comfort systems. So to find out more, go and visit Trane.com.
Joining us on the Higginbotham hotline to hopefully make some sense of what U.S. District Judge Claudia Wilkin had to say on Monday, Ben Portnoy joins us from the Sports Business Journal. Bless your heart, man. 7+ hours of Zoom call in your hotel room in San Antonio. I hope Sports Business Journal gave you some extra for that, man. That's rough.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? No, I will definitely keep my explaining to less than 7 hours as best I can. But it was a long day to say the least, and racing from that over to the national championship game, so don't mind a few traffic laws that might have gotten broken on the way over. It was a little bit of a haul.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. I mean, not the whole thing with Cliff Note version, obviously, but just the tone and the demeanor. Like once this began, did you get a feeling early on that she was going to be cantankerous with the attorneys? The attorneys were going to have a good day. What was your early feel before lunch in regards to Judge Claudia Wilkin, the 75-year-old judge that has all of us in the college football, basketball world want to know what the heck's going on?
Yeah, I think the big thing that I picked up on, and certainly I'm no lawyer despite as much time as it seems I'm focused on courtrooms these days, she pretty much had I would say she definitely had a bullet point list, for lack of a better term, of things that she was concerned about and things that she was not concerned about. And I think that you heard about, I believe the number was about 10, give or take, objectors, whether that was lawyers on behalf of someone or athletes speaking on behalf of themselves, that took issue with some piece of the settlement. And I would say that Wilkin was pretty blunt, I guess, as it related to some of the issues that were brought up by some of these objectors that she just didn't feel like were really that relevant. Now, there were a few that she definitely wanted to hear more on and sort of heard people out on, but I think that she was pretty focused in her concerns. And the two real big ones were roster limits and sort of the way that those might affect people immediately and whether they can be grandfathered, whether folks who might lose their roster spots right now can be grandfathered in. And then the second piece, and it's a little more of sort of the legalese of all of this, is basically that can you create a settlement that applies to people who it technically doesn't apply to right now? So like she used the example of a 10-year-old playing kickball on the asphalt right now will technically be bound by the terms of this settlement a decade from now or 8 or 9 years from now, whenever they're playing college athletics. And basically it's the legal question of whether you can do that. I think that's perhaps a bigger question legally. But I do think those are kind of the two main points that came out of the hearing. For
as long as we've been pointing towards this date and she knew that she had this case on the docket, Ben, just educate me, because I don't know the procedures of a lot of this. And when it comes to the legal process, some of these issues, some of these concerns that were raised beginning on Monday, why were they not discussed and maybe settled before we got to this point?
Yeah, I think the legal question I mentioned is at least related to like whether this can apply to people 10 years from now, I think was something that was going to come up now. I think the roster limits piece is something that, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember right, that she had at least made mention of during the previous preliminary approval hearing about whatever that was, 6 months ago, give or take. And I think that generally speaking, like, this is just kind of the way these things play out, right? This is kind of what this process was, or at least what this hearing was about, was basically to say, is this perfect? Probably not. But at the end of the day, did both sides come to a sort of fair resolution as they, meet in the middle basically on this? And that's ultimately what she's judging. And I think that's kind of why you end up with questions like the ones that came up the other day.
Okay, in regards to the roster, we keep hearing the number 105. How did that number come to 105? Was it something that the likes of Greg Sankey, Tony Petitti, and the other Power 4 commissioners, is this what the number they started working on? Because it seemed like, based on your reporting and others, that Judge Claudia Wilkin is not a big fan of that number. Is it something that it's going to be eased into perhaps moving forward, or where do you think that's going to end up? Was that one of her sticking points of the hearing on Monday?
Yeah, that's the one thing that I'm not totally clear on, is like where the roster limit sort of piece came to be, or why the numbers that exist are there. Certainly, I'm sure there's more thinking to it than we're just going to make up a number and roll with it. But I do think, like, the big question here is basically that it is really for, like, non-football sports, I would say, for the most part. So, like, SEC baseball is probably the best example. A lot of these rosters carry 45, 55 guys, right? Well, the roster limit, if I'm not mistaken, I think is down to about 35, give or take, maybe 40, but somewhere in that realm. So realistically, you've got, 10, 15 guys that in theory don't have a spot on the team next year. Now, what happens to those people, I think, was the biggest concern that Judge Wilkin had, and what a few of the objectors mentioned. And I think the point is basically, like, why in the settlement wasn't it written in to basically grandfather those people in and say, hey, there's a make up a number, a 2-year, 3-year grace period for the people who are on those rosters in order to get down to the numbers that you need over time. So I think that's the biggest sticking point that she had. Again, like, I'm not totally clear on how these numbers came about, but I think that was sort of the piece that she at least you're concerned with, as to why that was a sort of prime talking point, at least throughout this hearing.
Ben, what groups, maybe schools, if you want to break it down into classifications, but who are the people most concerned about the outcome and what's pending in this ruling?
I mean, it's probably pretty general, but I would say everyone, I think, on some level. I think the reality is, as the House settlement, and I know, a lot of people's, it's not their cup of tea. The legal stuff is all really in the weeds and whatever else. And, like, why does any of this matter? And I think, like, the short version is a lot of people in college sports at the beginning of this thought that this would be kind of the silver bullet that would basically say, hey, we can write our own rules again. We can govern this system, et cetera, et cetera. That's probably not exactly going to be the case. But what I will say is, when you hear about how there's basically a cap being instituted, how there is, rules and regulations being a governing body, so to speak, that's going to oversee, the regulation of this hearing, of this settlement. Things like that I think college sports fundamentally needs just in order to exist and to function. I think those things, while they aren't a perfect solution right now, give you the bones of whatever this should look like 5 years, 10 years from now. And I think that's ultimately the big difference. And I think it's also the fundamental shift of, you go from an organization in the NCAA that for 120 years has said, hey, it's bad to pay players, to now, schools, please pay your players directly. So I think those are the two sort of big points that I would make as far as, like, why this matters and why it, what comes out of this and what schools need out of this, and sort of why they're concerned.
Talking to Ben Portnoy from the Sports Business Journal here on Three Man Front, talking about Monday's hearing and maybe the future of the NCAA and all of college sports. I wanted to ask you about Livy Dunn and the rest of those that was objecting to the settlement. Did they make much of a case? Do you think that stuck any? And I guess in regards to Livy Dunn, what do you think her biggest angle was in regards to objecting to this ultimate settlement?
Yeah, so at least as far as Livy's piece was concerned, she spoke for about 10 minutes before the court. Her basic objection was that as part of this settlement, right, it's both forward-looking and backward-looking. It's forward-looking in that it creates the structure that I mentioned, but it's also backward-looking in that it would provide back damages, basically cut a check from the NCAA, the Power Four conferences, and more for athletes dating back to 2016 that couldn't capitalize on NIL. And basically, there is a system in place that, in order to figure out how big your check is, basically, there's a system that's been created that does some kind of valuation formula as to what someone might be owed for that time period, from 16 to 20 or whatever the time period might be. So for Livy, while she was in school at LSU, and her basic concern was that when she went through that process and got her calculation, whatever that number came out to be, and she didn't share what it was for what that's worth, that it was significantly less than what she is actually making. And so I think the question becomes, or at least her question was, how can you sort of validate what these valuations are when, for someone like her, who is on the highest end of the spectrum as far as making money off of NIL and things like that, that her valuation would be so undershot is kind of the question at hand, or at least what she was so concerned with on her front.
When it's all said and done and Judge Wilkin writes out her ruling, what recourse do the parties involved have, and do you think that it ultimately ends with this judge's ruling?
Yeah, I think everyone has largely operated under the assumption that this settlement will be passed. I think that if you listening to the hearing the other day, I think that the general gist, I would say, is that, again, Judge Wilkin had a handful of things that she was concerned about, but by the end of it, she said, I'm paraphrasing, but she basically said, I think this is a good settlement. I think it's a good deal. Now, that doesn't mean she'll approve it 100%, barring, the NCAA and, the other involved parties going back to the drawing board and fixing a few of the things that she mentioned. But what I will say is that I think from top to bottom, there's been optimism that she will pass this. Now, as far as recourse, I think as you look forward and what questions like I and others have is, look, I think the big question that I have and that I continue, I think, to have some skepticism around, and I think others have, I don't think I'm speaking for just myself here as far as the skepticism around it, is that you're basically creating a system where, as part of this mechanism, that you're going to have to report NIL deals worth $600 or more. And if I am, I'm making a hypothetical, but like if I'm a Georgia football player and you tell me, and that clearinghouse that's going to vet these things is going to be run by Deloitte. If I'm a Georgia football player and I get a $100,000 check from whatever, Joe's Mowers in Athens, and I give that to Deloitte and this clearinghouse, and they give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, let's say that for this sake, they give me a thumbs down, and they say that this deal is not fair market value. Well, first of all, if I'm a player, I'm probably going to sue over the fact that my earnings are being curbed. And second of all, it's going to end up in court. And then realistically, as we've seen, like these things haven't necessarily held up in court. And around and around and around we go. And it's sort of the same existence that we live in right now. Now, that said, I will say the big difference, and as, again, cynical as I might be on that, I do think like the big important point is that this is coming out of a legal proceeding. It's not just, the NCAA or the SEC or whoever creating an arbitrary rule about whatever. This is coming out of a legal proceeding. So that gives it a little more legal standing. It gives it more legal legs. It gives it a little more teeth in order to enforce the terms of the settlement, things like that. So I think that does help. And I think the thought is amongst most, folks that I speak with, that I've spoken with, whether it's, legally or in ADs or whatever, like that's the sentiment that, okay, we have at least some standing here as opposed to just making up the rules as we go. So there's that. But again, I do have at least some skepticism about how this is all going to hold together. But the flip side of that is, what else is there to do, right?
Yeah.
Like at some point you kind of have to make the best of a bad situation. And I think that, this settlement is obviously more complicated than that and is far more reaching than that and far more significant than that. But I do think at a base level, it's certainly, it is certainly, making turning turning a negative into a positive in some capacity.
That has been Portnoy, Sports Business Journal. Outstanding job covering this. Spent a lot of time. Did you ever think back in your days in journalism that you would try to get a minor in law? Did you ever think about that?
It's funny. I was a political science minor in college, and I really didn't think I would be using it this much. But I swear, whenever this gets resolved, I think I might be sitting down for the bar. I think I'd feel pretty good about the antitrust section of it, at least right now.
I'm telling you, between the ACC, FSU, Clemson, and now Claudia up in California, this is
chase your dream, Ben.
That's right. Go for it, man.
It's a crazy time. I don't know. I joked with a few reporters and some of the general counsels that have been around here and there that we're going to start paying them not for scoops, but to help us study for our legal exams after all this is said and done.
Well, just being in a great city like San Antonio for the Final Four, and you have to sit in your hotel room for 7+ hours listening to a 75-year-old judge in Oakland, California. So, man, glad it was you, not me.
No, I appreciate it. Happy to indulge for better or worse.
That sounds good. Well, Ben, have a good rest of the week. We always appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. That is Ben Portnoy from the Sports Business Journal. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
We continue the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. A lot of fun things in store, including our Masters 2025 show draft. We'll do that. We'll tell you more about it as we continue Three Man Front and Jocks 94.5.
Appreciate Ben Portnoy joining us. It's a very complex subject. I understand that. We all try to wrap our hands around what the heck it means. It's also interesting that she made this decision on Monday that she wants the lawyers to come back to her. The transfer portal opens up 1 week from today. So once again, you would hope to have some type of ruling, maybe, before the transfer portal opens up. Maybe. To have some type of guardrail, maybe. But all bets are off.
Well, what is easy to understand, it's our friends at Dobbs Ford and some special promotions that they have going on right now. Right now, the friends at Dobbs Ford, they're on Parkway East in Birmingham. Employee pricing and 90 days until your first payment on select vehicles. That's right now. Employee pricing, 90 days first payment on select vehicles. And boy, do they have a fleet to choose from. From the F-150s, the Mustangs, the Broncos Sports, the Escapes, the Explorers, the Edges. Check them out. It's Dobbs Ford. And one of our great listeners texted us yesterday, and he said, Landrum, took you up on the offer. I went to Dobbs Ford, mentioned your name, and they took care of me. And he said, I bought a vehicle this past Saturday. That's what it's all about. Go and experience it for yourself. Dobbs Ford, Parkway East in Birmingham, Alabama's largest showroom selection. They'll beat any competitor's price. All the special deals they got going on right now. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Make sure you tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
So last night, Chris Sale was on the bump for the Atlanta Braves. It was a very, very rough night for him. 4 2/3 innings pitched, 9 hits, gave up 5 earned runs. His ERA has now ballooned to 6.75 on this season. But the good news for the Braves, Sean Murphy is back. So despite Barrett Sallee's angst, Sean Murphy stepped into the box last night.
Runners at first and second, 2 down. 1-0 pitch, and he cranks one high in the air to deep left field. Pressing back to the wall. That's going to fly away. It's a 3-run homer. And Sean Murphy off the injured list and onto the stat page with a 3-run homer off Zach Wheeler to make it 3-1 Braves in the second.
Nice night for Sean Murphy. Went 2 for 4. That 3-run homer you just heard on the Braves radio network here on Jocks 94.5. He also had another RBI later on, so he had 4 RBIs. Braves win 7-5. So are you feeling better now?
It's always awesome to beat the Phillies. But yeah, I felt better about last night. That's good. I mean, maybe he provides that spark and gets everybody else going. A little bit concerned with Sale.
Yeah. I've seen this story written many, many times in Major League Baseball.
It's almost like he had a little bit of gas left in the tank, and we got it last year.
Yep.
At least you got a whole year of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he was the most dominant pitcher in the National League, in which he was awarded by that, the Cy Young Award.
I was about to say it's better than like when we picked up Corey Kluber a couple years ago. He throws a no-hitter in April, and then his arm falls off, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was you got that one game.
Yep.
So the Braves will be back at it tonight at 6 o'clock here on Jocks 94.5, going up against Tawan Walker.
Grant Holmes.
Against Grant Holmes. Holmes is 0-1 with a 7.20 ERA.
Yeah, he got roughed up in his first outing.
Walker has not given up a run. He's had 1 start, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs for the Phillies. So that is a 6 o'clock first, or I should say pregame show tonight.
Yeah, but we get Ronald Acuna back in the lineup eventually. Hopefully Spencer Strider just picked up a guy who's probably seen his better days.
4.92 ERA over the last couple of years.
From the Astros, we got him. So yeah, we'll
that's a Cardinal move right there. That is always, let's go find somebody on the trash heap that's probably should have retired a couple of years ago, and let's just give him a change of scenery, and I bet you he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
That's Cardinal philosophy right there.
Actually, can he pass his drug test? Is his arm still attached to his body?
And I was sad news over the weekend because Chavez got released.
Yeah.
So that just means that he can come back for a 7th time.
That's right.
Yeah.
By the All-Star game.
So, and we just talked about it with Portnoy. Do you feel bad today that you're adding more stress to Livy Dunn's life? Because she's got so much.
What is that all about? You didn't get the memo.
Yeah,
Paul
she has
Skeens,
so much going on with this house settlement, and then y'all go and bully up on Paul Skeens.
What did he do to you?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Tell us.
For whatever reason, since he has come to the major leagues,
y'all are his kryptonite?
We are. He has lost more games to us. We hit him like crazy. I mean, we ran him out of the stadium last night.
It was probably the Jordan Hicks guy you had on the roster. They got used to seeing that 108-mile-an-hour fastball.
Maybe so.
Well, he was trying to throw some sweepers last night, and we weren't having it. Yeah, he gave up 5 runs, 6 hits, and he loses.
He's stressed. He's worried about Livy.
Probably is.
Yeah.
But about a year or so, he'll be traded from the Pirates anyway.
So you feeling pretty good about it, Conrad? Your team going to score a run today?
No.
I hope so. We got we have a very good pitching matchup though. You got
I know,
Flaherty,
I like
and
it.
we got Max Fried.
Mm-hmm.
Did they make you like it?
No.
Okay.
No.
So that was
Not like Don Staley. No.
Yeah.
So got the Cardinals and Pirates at 11:40, and then the Tigers and Yankees, what, noon?
12:10. Yep.
Yeah.
On Amazon Prime Video, but only if you live in New York. Gotta love that.
So weird.
What?
Got it. Yeah, it's
No.
weird. They have they have a number of games on Amazon, and I know last year they did Apple TV as well,
Yeah.
but they're blacked out unless you live in New York. Doesn't make any sense.
Mm-mm.
I know some people were complaining last night too because you had the Braves game on TBS, and then it got pulled off late in the 9th inning, and they put it on True TV, and then True TV flipped off to soccer or something. So a lot of people last night,
Soccer friendly?
yeah, they missed the end of the Braves game on TV last night.
I had the Braves game on my FanDuel app because we had bowling night last night.
Well, then you were good to go.
We swept, by the way.
You were swept?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you swept.
No, we swept.
Oh.
We won all 7 points. We could get in the roll off. Who knows? I'll keep you posted. It's a big deal, Pat. You know that is.
Oh, I know.
Take my bowling seriously.
Oh, I know you do.
Very proud of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you've
Yeah.
had some days where you come in here and you're kind of hard on yourself after how you performed the night before. So
Yeah, the team picked me up in the 3rd game. I was solid the first 2. That's fine. We won.
You know how in the transfer portal players have no contact on their tag?
yeah, you mean most of them?
Yeah. That's how Landrum is on Tuesday nights for bowling night.
Pat,
If you
Pat
try
had
to
texted
text
me
him.
and asked me a couple questions. I think he knew. Did it register at some point? You were like, yep, he's
Yeah,
bowling.
he's bowling.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Gotta wait until he gets back to the locker room. So when he checks his social media, see what everyone says about him during
Yes.
the game.
Very much
Those
so.
are the moments I live for. The camaraderie there in the bowling alley locker room.
Well, the fluctuation of temperatures right now, if you're a homeowner, you're going to notice some things around your house, whether it's maybe a crack in your wall, maybe your windows don't open just right, the doors are kind of uneven, or if you're out on your sidewalk, notice there's a crack. The leveling up of your home's foundation is very important, and that's where Alabama Professional Services comes in. alabamaprofessional.com. That's the website. The phone number is 205-951-9717. It'll be the best decision you've made to protect your home. APS can send a team out to your home if you're noticing any of those cracks and problems around your home's foundation. They really know their stuff. They'll inspect everything, explain the problem clearly. They'll offer the solutions that are tailored to your home. No pressure, just honest advice. They can fix your foundation and tackle that sinking driveway with that poly-level system. They can even encapsulate your crawl space and to make sure your home's been properly waterproofed. alabamaprofessional.com. Number again, 205-951-9717. More three-man front on this Wednesday. This is Jocks 94.5. Well, it didn't take Martin Newton very long, the outstanding athletics director at Samford University. Samford announces this morning they have a brand new basketball coach, Lenny Acuff, a Huntsville native, a longtime head coach at the University of Alabama, Huntsville, who has been at Lipscomb now for the last 6 years, including an NCAA tournament appearance this year. His team went 25-10, 14-4 in the Atlantic Sun. He was in first place. He has an overall record of 110-82 at Lipscomb. Over at Alabama Huntsville, he won 67% of his games. He has been tabbed as the next head coach of Samford University. In my opinion, Landrum, this is a home run hire once again for Samford. You replace someone that was, again, a very well-respected high school coach in the Birmingham metropolitan area, 5 state championships at Mountain Brook and Bucky McMillan. And now you go and get someone that knows this part of the world very, very well, and he's respected, and he's a good coach, and he's coming to Samford. So another good hire by Martin Newton.
Yeah, Martin Newton, he certainly knows basketball, and not just from an administrative position, but also growing up in it and what he has done. And I think that's a really good hire. You found a winner and a guy who I was reading, Pat, he's the Gulf South Conference all-time winningest coach.
About that.
Pretty impressive. So good for Samford. And good for Bucky. It's just so weird seeing him there at Texas. Never in my wildest dreams. Not there.
I saw a picture that our buddy Bart Heitch had tweeted out last night of Bucky, I don't know, probably 6-7 years ago when he was coaching at Mountain Brook.
Yeah.
Just seeing the way he looked then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's got a youthful look anyway, but seeing Bucky.
Just seeing Bucky in
a
coat and tie the other night. It was different.
Yeah.
Well, when he started at Mount Brook, he was like 25? I mean, he was really young.
He was a young guy.
Really young.
Yeah. Not too far out of his days at Birmingham Southern.
But in his speech, and I told you guys I watched the entire press conference, he was talking about what he did at Mountain Brook. Not in addition to, he got his start coaching AAU ball. And a lot of his stuff that he does offensively, defensively, he used that is kind of his lab where he could experiment with different things because they play such a long schedule. And then talking about making the popcorn and the popcorn machine there at Mountain Brook and taking kids home and driving the bus, and a really cool story. And good for Bucky, and he certainly deserves it. Well, coming up tomorrow, we do have Coach Skip Holtz of the Stallions coming on today to preview Friday night's home opener at Protective Stadium. But tomorrow, Rambler Sports Bar and Grill, I tell you about it all the time. They're open for lunch today, by the way. You want to get in and watch the I'm sure they'll have a link for the Masters Par 3 tournament, some afternoon Major League Baseball. But tomorrow at 5:30, a free fan event. You can go. It's a meet and greet with Coach Skip Holtz. Also, some of the Stallions players. 5:30, free to the public at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. The 283-inch projector screen, all of the video boards, the great food, and the wonderful drink menu as well. Rambler Sports Bar and Grill tomorrow night, the free fan event. If you can't get in there today for lunch or for happy hour, you can enjoy that. 5:30, free to the public, and we hope to see you all there.
So CBS drew 18.1 million viewers for Florida's win over Houston on Monday night in the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, marking the title game's best figure since Virginia Texas Tech drew 9.6 million in 2019, the year before the out-of-home metrics were added by Nielsen. The 3 games in the Final Four weekend averaged 16.4 million viewers on CBS, which is the best figure in 8 years and up 21% from last year's championship game. Now, Sunday's NCAA Women's Basketball Championship audience fell 55% from last year's Caitlin Clark-fueled figure and dropped 14% from Clark's appearance just 2 years ago. The game still maintained an audience good enough for the third best women's title game on record, but 55% audience departure from last year for the women's championship. And no offense to that. I know Becker's was an incredible story coming back from the ACL, but was it just me? There just wasn't a lot of storylines with the women's Final Four. So I don't think a lot of people are really tuned in.
Biggest story that, honestly, is probably Juju Watkins getting hurt. Like, unfortunately for her, but that seemed to be the one that everyone was, oh my God, can you believe that happened? But I think part of it too is UConn just kind of, They bullied everybody. Wasn't even
And see
close.
what happens in the men's game. You had a good game. You had a game that, if I'm not mistaken, towards the end of the game, there was over 21 million people watching. It was 18.1 was the average for the whole broadcast. And then when the end of the game happened, there was about 21, 22 million people.
I mean, that was the best national championship game since the Villanova when they hit the buzzer beater to beat North Carolina. And that was what, 7 years ago, something like that?
Yeah. So good games mean viewership. And that's what you got in the Final Four. We talked about that yesterday in regards to how good every single game was in the Final Four.
Yeah, and having one seeds and those big names, that certainly is going to keep viewers. So as fun as the Cinderella stories are, that I think that ratings are reflecting that America wants to see the best play the best. Sorry if you're a
Isn't that
fan
a
of the
crazy
Cinderella
theory?
stories. Isn't it? Weird.
Good games means good ratings.
Yeah.
It's just odd that would happen.
The number, though, that you threw out, that 79% of the favorites won in this tournament.
That's just very early on the trend, and I played the trend, and it worked out really well for me, was the under.
Yeah.
Like whatever Vegas was setting, I mean, it was not, we're not talking about 2 or 3 points under. We're talking about significant. The offense just was not living up to whatever metric Vegas was using for their over-unders.
Especially if you played that Georgia-Gonzaga game when Gonzaga jumped out to the 27-3 lead. Yeah, I still remember that one for some reason.
Did you already spend all the Paige's money that she won on the bracket?
Oh, yeah. That's long gone.
You were on Amazon last night, weren't you?
That's right. Nothing for her, all for me.
$600.
It's going to pay for us to have a place to stay for my buddy's wedding next month.
And think about this. You're right under the threshold, so you won't have to report it.
That's right. Like I was going to report it anyways.
You've got to report it, though, to the whatever group.
To the
Deloitte group.
Yep.
They'll give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
It is 11 o'clock. Welcome in. This is Three Man Front on Jocks 94.5. It's going to be warm today, near 70 degrees. A little cold start this morning. I've been told that you can go out and plant now. No more thoughts of a freeze. So if you're a homeowner like me in Landrum, you can go out and you can plant to your heart's desire.
Was that the last? That was the last.
That was it.
Cold burst we were going to get.
That was it.
Okay, good.
We're done. That's what
I'm
my
ready for it to
farmer's
be warm.
almanac told me.
75 and sunny during the day. I just don't want to transition quickly into 88 and humid.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the humidity. Don't like that very much.
Yeah.
But Sanford basketball, they have named a new head coach, Lenny Acuff from Lipscomb University. Took his team to the NCAA tournament. He has been named the new man over in Homewood for the Bulldogs. Martin Newton did not waste any time getting back from San Antonio and making the hire. Lenny Acuff, a lot of our listeners up on the ump in Huntsville, you know that name very well. He was a longtime coach at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. He's a Huntsville native, and so he goes from there, from Alabama, Huntsville, to Lipscomb. Great deal of success there. Finished number one in the Atlantic Sun, made it to the NCAA tournament this year, so he is coming to Sanford as Bucky McMillan heads to College Station. Braves win last night, 7-5 of the Phillies. Tonight, 6 o'clock on Jocks 94.5. You can hear the Bravos take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Do not read one of the texts that I sent you last night about what I felt about the Philadelphia Phillies. Do you remember the one?
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. That's what they look like.
There's just a look with the Philadelphia Phillies. And I'm not going to say it on the air because it might get me in trouble.
I don't know if that would get you in trouble.
Is it the hair?
No, it's just the overall. It's the overall look. It looks like they've hit some rocky times in their life, and they need maybe some intervention.
Yes.
So you're saying there's a whole bunch of Jason Worths out there now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe not quite on that.
I mean, Turner's
If
the
they
only
weren't
one
in a
that doesn't
uniform-
look.
Well, yeah, he's got the baby face kind of.
If they were not in a uniform and you were out in public and there weren't, if you were out, you saw this person approaching you, then you would probably get ready to defend yourself.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like they look like they're up to no good. And that was a perfect call by you, Pat. Well, they did.
Well,
So,
you didn't-
so
you
they
didn't
need to
respond,
enact
so.
the Yankees the former Yankees facial hair guidelines.
Or just don't look like you haven't washed your hair in a year. That oily, matted together.
But you don't like when Bryce Harper takes his helmet off and it just all flies back and
It's not just the hair though.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
there's other aspects. It's
Yeah.
just not just it's the aura.
They're going through a hard time.
So they don't have aura. Is that what you're saying?
Are we sure that they're not?
They may be. I don't know.
Just say no.
Early in the program, we talked about an article that Chris Lowe wrote about Hugh Freeze being excited about this upcoming season for the Auburn Tigers. And in the article, he mentioned the fact that Auburn, now this was not Hugh Freeze's word, this was Chris Lowe's words, that Auburn was going to go all in on the roster in 2025, and their roster total payroll was going to be around $20 million. Well, Tommy Castellanos, who is the new quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles, formerly of Boston College, he went on a podcast this morning. Take a listen to what he had to say about him going into the transfer portal and where he was going until he got a phone call.
I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of shocking, especially after everything that happened. And then like school was still calling and, trying to get me to, come to their school and come play for them. But Auburn was a school that got me, in the portal, that had me really locked on them, to be honest. And then when I got in, it was kind of crazy. But and I had visits just lined up, you know what I'm saying? But Gus Malzahn gave me a call, man, and there's no way I could say no. There's no way I can say no.
How about that? So he was going to Auburn until Auburn's former head coach, Gus Malzahn, makes a phone call. Now, this is the quote. Now, I'm not trying to parse words here. I'm not trying to accuse Auburn of anything. I'm just reading you what you just heard. He said, Auburn was the school that got me, in the portal. Is he referring to that Auburn called him and said, hey, you need to get in the transfer portal because we want you?
Or Auburn reached out to maybe one of his representatives, or they talked to him. They said, look, this is a guy that we'd really be interested in.
Well, and
There's different ways you could do it.
He got benched at the end of the season as well, so I'm assuming that A, the portal was already happening, and B, maybe, just doing a little leg work there when you see somebody gets benched and probably going to be looking for a different opportunity.
And then what transpired after that, who knows? Maybe Auburn said, well, we thought that you were our guy, but there's somebody else that apparently is interested. And look,
wonder if that's part of it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn was the school that got me, in the portal. They had me really locked on them, to be honest. And then when I got in, it was kind of crazy, but I had visits just lined up. But Gus gave me a call. Man, there's no way I could say no. There's no way I could say no.
He just wanted to play Alabama the first game of the season instead of the last. I think that's really what it was.
I think that's exactly what it is.
That's why.
Well, if you looked at Florida State, it's an easy sell for Gus. Look at what I do with my quarterbacks in my system. And did you see this team last year? You're going to come in, you're going to be day one starter.
Yep.
In 2023, Castellanos passed for 2,248 yards and ran for another 1,113. And then last year, playing under Bill O'Brien partially, he passed for 1,300 yards and ran for just 194.
He was really good at the beginning of the year, though, when they were kind of on their hot streak there for a little bit. He was impressive.
He says, with Malzahn running the show at Florida State, things will be different. This is a direct quote from Castellanos. There's no leash on me. Like taking a dog to the park and just go be free. I love that, and I have the keys to do whatever I want, whenever I need to, and be able to just showcase and be Houdini or be whoever, whatever I need to be, wherever it is, whenever's the time. It's just me being me.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Conrad.
Wow, that was like going in a circle.
Yeah.
Can I see that written out?
Houdini.
That's like,
wow.
Yeah, that's a typical.
Did you see the crazy escapes throughout his career that Houdini had?
Go ahead, read it.
You better have 22 on that side of the ball.
This is Molly's.
Come first game of the
This is
season.
Molly reading
Should
that.
I just start from the beginning?
No, just the part about the Houdini part about him being him.
I love that I have the keys to do whatever I want whenever I need to and be able to just showcase and be Houdini or be whoever, whatever I need to be or whenever it's time to be that. So I just feel so free, just so happy now that I'm able to go down and do what I need to be. Yeah. Something like that.
I mean, that's like when you're starting a sentence and you don't know where it's going.
Pretty much.
That's what that was. Well, maybe he's opening the door. Some days he wants to be Houdini. Some days David Blaine. Some days he's Chris Angel. Maybe I don't. He's just opening the door
Houdini.
open.
He could take a cannonball to the gut. Some miraculous escapes by Houdini in his career. That Tommy reminds me a lot of Houdini.
Well, he already has his Halloween costume figured out down there in Tallahassee.
Those kids down there have no idea what he's trying to do there.
Well, I will say this: back in 2023, he almost beat Florida State. That was one of the games. They played it in Chestnut Hill. Never forget it. Early morning kickoff. It was cold, and Florida State did not play well at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they almost pulled the upset in the magical FSU undefeated season until they played Georgia. And Georgia decapitated them.
Well, that doesn't count. It was postseason.
That was a friendly, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a soccer friendly.
It was an exhibition.
It didn't count.
Nope.
Boston College seems like they're always that school on somebody's schedule that they give a front runner a scare or they pull off the upset. Didn't they did a similar thing? Was it Clemson? I don't know.
Have they ever?
That's always one that you circle there if they're on your schedule.
In my lifetime, I mean, I just think of Matt Ryan, right? That's when Boston College was a legitimate, threat in the world of college football. Besides that
Doug
time
Flutie.
period,
Doug Flutie is what I
Flutie.
think about
Okay.
immediately.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's Doug Flutie.
No, they had some good teams in the 80s.
I just feel like there's a lot of times where they're like, they're one of those teams maybe you don't want to play, but they haven't been a threat in a while. But
Chestnut Hill's supposed to be really pretty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it Les Miles that took that Kansas team there and then they won? And then he had said that he had promised them that they were going to go out if they had won that game. He was going to take them out on a night on the town. When
He
was
only
still at
won
Kansas.
didn't he only win 3 games at Kansas?
Yeah, and that was one of the games.
I was about to say that was one of the few times he actually won.
Man.
That was a fun time.
I wonder how Lester's doing.
I do. I wonder what he does. Do you think him and Ed O hang out?
Yeah, I think Ed O has Les and his family down to his penthouse there in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
3
Maybe
games.
so.
He won 3.
Mm-hmm.
How many did he lose? 20-something?
18.
18.
Yeah, so this was 2019,
And they beat Boston College.
and they beat Boston College.
Wow.
They entered the game as a 3-touchdown underdog. They won their first road game against a power conference opponent.
Can you imagine how ticked you would be if you had taken Boston College in that game?
yeah.
This is easy money. I am loading up. I need to get back on the positive side of things. I'm taking Boston College all day long.
Yeah, there are probably some people calling the number after that one.
It was Kansas's first road win in 48 straight
Years?
games. No,
That
That's
wouldn't
actually-
happen.
that's actually believable.
I know.
but they had lost 48 straight against power conference opponents on the road.
If I'm not mistaken, and this was not under Les Miles, obviously, but they had didn't they win like a couple years ago at Texas?
Yeah, I think you're right. That would have been 2 years ago because they won 8 games 2 years ago.
Because I remember that they won in Austin.
Lance Leipold's no joke.
I've just always wanted them to do something with that helmet. Just put something on there.
Their stadium was supposed to be ready this year, I think. You know, because they played in the was it Sporting KC Stadium a couple times last year, and then they played at
They played
Arrowhead.
Arrowhead, yeah.
In November of 20, so this was before they turned it around. In November of 2021, Kansas beat Texas 57-56 in overtime. That was a Kansas team that won 3 games.
And that was in Austin, right?
Yes, it was.
Yes. I
Yes,
remember
it
that.
was. Casey Thompson was the quarterback.
It's a blast from the past.
Oh, I know, right?
Mhm.
Thought you would enjoy that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
their helmets. Boston College got voted one year the worst looking helmet in the conference. That's just
In the ACC?
yeah. I like the color scheme because it's like the Stallions.
Yeah.
Just add something.
Like a bigger eagle.
Yeah. You're not Notre Dame. You're not Penn State. Put something on the side of that helmet.
I agree.
I'm
I don't
done.
think it's that bad.
Conrad wants an elephant put on the side of the Alabama helmet.
You don't think it's that bad because you don't care.
No, I don't.
You don't watch a game and it doesn't take away from your attention.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to my
Would you
world.
want the full elephant on the side of an Alabama helmet, or just like the just the ears and the?
No, so I want so it'll be like the full body. So on like the left side, for example, you would have the face, and then on this side you just have the rear. And so it's
The
like
butt.
you're getting the full, yeah. So you have the tail on one side and the head on the other side.
And you still want DeBoer to break out the black jerseys.
yes, preferably, yes.
Since
or
you're
gray.
such a fan of the helmet, why don't we just put the number that's currently on the helmet on one side? Just pull off like a Steelers type look.
Yeah.
And just have it blank crimson.
I'm also a
for people
fan
like you.
of the getting a new face mask that's just tusks coming out of the helmet.
That's player safety. You can't do that.
Well, it would help the offensive line a lot. Nobody would want to get near them. It'd be great.
When the Players Association forms, they'll never allow that.
Too dangerous.
When they form.
Welcome to the new world of intercollegiate athletics.
The text line is open 205-834-9450 1-800-239-WJOX. Skip Holtz is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Later on in the program, we will have our Masters draft. I was the winner last year. We picked 5 golfers. Whoever has the, I guess, under par, best numbers, wins the green jacket. I got the green jacket in my office as we speak.
You're going to
So
wear it Friday, hopefully.
I might wear it today.
Wear it to Twin Peaks. You should do that.
That's what I told him. But we know that it fits. You tried it on last year. I put
It's
it
a
on
little
you.
tight. It's tight.
I did my best. Billy Payne. Or whoever the guy is now.
I think it's still Billy. Isn't it?
I wonder if Doug Bell found Green 38.
He did not text me.
I hope I don't get Doug in trouble.
I think Doug will be fine.
Yeah.
He'll be all right.
You had one of your correspondents that was wandering around the grounds, places that he shouldn't have been. Golly, if there was ever a place where you get in trouble for doing something like that, that's it.
Yes. And when we come back on Three Man Front, we'll give you some odd little facts about the Masters in Augusta. Basically, what Landry was just talking about. It's Some people say it's Wimbledon on steroids. We'll tell you why next on Three Man Front. It is Masters Week. Some detest the week. Others love it. We embrace it here on Three Man Front. Know a lot of people that's over there this week. Practice rounds gets underway tomorrow. We'll
so
have
many
our
great
draft
memories.
coming up in a little bit.
It's a fun time. Really is.
I don't like that they stopped using the Ray Charles version of the song.
Are they doing the Jamie Foxx?
I can't remember it. That was good. That was good. No, I can't remember who. Oh man, who's doing the new one? But it's not the Ray Charles version. It's the same song. It's just a cover of it.
It's Noah Khan.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Yes, I've heard it. I mean, it's not bad. It's just.
It's just not.
It's
good.
not the.
It's
the
like they
original.
screwed up One Shining Moment. Me and you remember the original.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. We can't have what we want. Well,
If it ain't Luther, it ain't One Shining Moment.
Yeah. Vandross was awesome.
That's a fair point. Well, Wallace State softball over the weekend, they swept their 4-game series against Shelton State to move into first place in their conference standings. And Wallace State baseball, they split a 4-game set with Shelton over the weekend as well. Both teams will now kick off a 4-game series tomorrow against Snead. Softball is going to kick off that series on the road, while baseball will host Snead at home in Hansville tomorrow afternoon. For more information, go visit them online at athletics.wallacestate.edu.
All right, so Landrum's been over there numerous times to Augusta. I've never been. My father has been over there numerous times. I have not. And I know many of our listeners that we get to hang out with on Tuesdays at Social Taco. Many of those folks are going over this week. But one thing is for sure, and it's always talked about, but the concession prices are always extremely affordable. Whether it's egg salad for $1.50, the pimento cheese $1.50, pork barbecue, savory tomato pie, Master's Club sandwich, chicken salad, all those $3.
Tomato pie is new, and it's like an empanada.
Mm-hmm. $3
Okay.
for all of those. If you're there early enough for breakfast, you've got Master's Blend fresh brewed coffee for just $2. Chicken biscuit will run you $3. Breakfast sandwich $3. How about blueberry muffin? That's Conrad's favorite. $2.
How much?
Oh.
$2
It's cheaper than it is here.
Yeah.
for a blueberry muffin.
Fresh mixed fruit will cost you $2.50.
I love a good fruit cocktail.
Soft drinks, bottled water, fresh brewed iced tea, $2. You want a domestic beer, will cost you $6, Conrad.
Mm.
God,
That's when I let my hair down. late
that's
in the
such a good
afternoon.
price.
Molly's white wine will cost her $6.
Oh, thank goodness.
Molly, straighten your hat.
Sorry.
If you're in more of a mood of a snack, apple slices will cost you $1.50, chips $1.50, peanuts $1.75.
Oh,
Yeah, but they come straight from a Georgia peanut farm.
Southern cheese straws will cost you $2.
Ooh. Sounds good.
Georgia peach ice cream sandwich,
You have all that.
$3.
Never
Now,
had that.
everything that I just mentioned and a couple items that I left off, if you were to purchase one item off of that entire menu, it would cost you $77
for everything.
for everything. If you wanted
That's
one
incredible.
of everything, $77. Now, fresh fruit did go up 50 cents this year. Cookies and peanuts went up 25 cents.
God. Inflation hits us all.
Those dang tariffs.
Speaking of food, as we all know, the Masters Club dinner took place the other night
Scheffler.
for Scotty Scheffler.
Very nice.
Texas style chili, cheddar cheese, jalapenos, and corn chips.
That's different.
And then you had your
Mhm.
choice of a wood-fired cowboy ribeye
Ooh.
or blackened redfish. Also comes with family-style macaroni and cheese, jalapeno creamed corn, Brussels sprouts, and roasted sweet potatoes. And to top it off, he should have had BB's chocolate
I was
cake.
about to say,
Yeah.
did he have cake?
He had warm chocolate chip skillet cookie,
Ooh, I bet
Oh,
that was
those-
good.
Yeah. Like they
vanilla
have it-
bean ice cream.
Like they have it so standard. The skillet cookie.
Not bad, right?
That sounds quite
That does sound good.
nice.
As I mentioned a minute ago, Augusta sometimes is known as the Wimbledon on steroids. It's a world of tradition and draconian rules and regulations. No phones, cameras, or other electronic devices are allowed on site. You can only ask for autographs at one specific site near the practice area. Security is on strict alert for those that use certain banned phrases in the gallery. There is a long list of things that you cannot say, and if you're overheard saying those in the gallery, you could be expelled.
Like you, the man?
You the man is one of them, or get in the hole. If you say something like that, you will be banned.
Good.
If you're also in the gallery, you cannot lay down on the grass, but you can bring a chair, but only if it's a folded one with no armrests. And if you want to get a prime viewing location, you better walk because running is
Mhm.
banned. You cannot run,
They will allow you, if there's inclement weather, to run.
but you cannot run
Experience.
doing
Oh,
anything
yes.
else.
So it's like a swimming pool. Okay.
So,
Well, same
Yes.
rules.
Yes. And they blow a whistle.
So it's not just the people that are there for the golf tournament. The broadcasters also have certain things that you are not allowed to say on the air or they will kick you off the broadcast. You can't use the word fans.
Patrons.
It's patrons because the Masters views the word fan. It's short for fanatics. And that word is beneath their standards. So you must use the word patrons. You cannot use the word driving range. You must use tournament practice facility. Back nine or backside cannot be used. If you say those words, you will be reprimanded. You must say second nine. The Masters views the terms back nine or backside as too ordinary and not formal enough. Can't use the word rough. Second cut.
Yes.
That's what you must use. Don't use the word sand trap.
No.
Got to use bunker.
And don't take any sand out of the trap.
And it's very important that you avoid overly casual or disrespectful language during the broadcast. The Masters has a very specific and traditional tone, so avoid slang, overly informal language, or anything that could be seen as disrespectful to the tournament or its history. Give you a couple examples. Jack Whitaker, back in 1966, he was removed from his broadcasting duties after calling the Masters galleries a mob scene. Augusta did not like that. They kicked him off the broadcast. Gary McCord, back in 1994, he was removed because he said the greens there at Augusta were smoothed with bikini wax. That was beneath the Augusta.
Okay, yeah,
members.
maybe that one wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not great. It's funny, but I could see where that might upset them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just because you're a patron, but if you're a broadcaster, you got to mind your P's and Q's this week.
Pitter-patter, soft Georgia rain.
That's another reason why they say that Jim Nance and whether it was Vern Lundquist before making these historic calls at the Masters, why there's such a pause, because they're being very careful. Because especially like if you're Jim Nance or Vern Lundquist, who's called basketball and football, you know, you get caught up in the moment and you might use cliches or something like that. Whereas they try to make obviously the videos tell the story as opposed to them trying to describe something because they're more worried about what the Augusta members would feel about it.
I wish they would require language that we just don't use in everyday life anymore.
Like old English, like Gaelic?
Like instead of, well, he's sporting the whatever pants this week.
The knickers?
No, trousers.
Oh, and there's Tiger Woods and his caddy with
Complimenting
the parlay there at the
the
tee.
black trousers there with the red shirt.
Did you say parlay?
You can't say parlay.
It's
Sorry.
illegal.
Can't say parlays.
Mm.
Coinciding.
Sorry, I meant the pirate talk kind of parlay,
Oh,
Okay.
not that kind.
Not the Vegas parlay.
Not the kind Pat. Yeah, Pat's ears immediately went parlay for what? I didn't know all those broadcasting fun facts. You just feel bad because you know sometimes you're gonna slip.
Better not.
Oh yeah, you better not. But
No, it's
obviously, it's happened in the past. Just maybe no bikini wax.
it's a great place, even if you don't like golf. For the people I've talked to that had no interest in golf, just going and people watching and taking it all in is worth it. If you go on a pretty day.
Well, just being out there and not having. I love that they don't allow the cell phones. I think that's you just
Yeah.
get to
Mhm.
Well,
immerse yourself in the experience.
and they used to, and I haven't been over there in several years, but they had an AT&T call center where you could go and there was a phone center with numerous phones. And you could call anywhere in the world for as long as you wanted to. You needed to talk to your aunt who lives in Dublin, Pat. You could call your aunt and talk to her the whole day on one of those phones. Yeah. They had, this would have been 2007, but like Homeland Security type folks, just making sure you're not bringing anything in. I was there one year when it was Adam Scott. I think he was in contention, and you had 3 Aussies that dressed up in Aussie flag themed suits. Do you think they were ever shown on the broadcast?
No.
No. No. They allowed him in, which I was a little bit surprised by. But no, you were not going to get that shot on CBS.
This isn't the Waste Management Open, people. Come on.
Quite
Not
a
in Phoenix
quite a difference.
anymore.
Yeah.
I would be more patient on hold if they would just play this music.
Skip Holtz, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions,
Yes.
home opener Friday night. He will join us next here on Three Man Front. It is 11:34, Jocks 94.5. Welcome back into the program. Joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, good friend of the program. So happy to have him on each and every week. Skip Holtz, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions. Skip, I hope you're doing well, and congratulations on win number 1 the other night as you beat a very good team in the Michigan Panthers.
Yeah, we really, anytime we can come away with Michigan with a victory, which we've been fortunate here in the last 2 years, I think Coach Nolan does a great job with that team. And, you know, being in our division, that was a big win. When we didn't get off on the right foot, we didn't play very well in the opening game, but was really proud of the way the team responded and came back and got a win against Michigan last week.
Coach, take us inside the day after we had talked to you on that Monday, but what was the message to the team and kind of the attitude there around the facility all week?
Just that from a standard standpoint, it wasn't up to what we do. And you sit down and you watch the film, and so much of it, and I take nothing away from DC, but so much of it, we did not execute. I didn't think we played with the sense of urgency we needed to. We had the number of penalties we had. We had 10 penalties, which is really high for us. We've kind of prided ourselves on playing really smart football. And we had talked during camp about how we have a new team and new faces and a new culture and new leadership. And so I think it was a great learning experience for us. And as I said, I think if we lose the opener and it helps us kind of get on the right page, then I'll take a loss every time if it helps us get better. And so I thought that they really improved. I thought we got better. I thought we had a better sense of urgency. And it was about rolling our sleeves up and competing. And the big quest that we have right now as a football team is we just got to keep getting better. We got to keep improving, because the team that's going to win this thing is going to be the team that's playing the best football at the end of the year. And so we just have to look at some of the mistakes we made. We've got to correct them. We got to improve. We got to get better. And I think that was the mindset of the team. I thought we had a great sense of urgency last week. And now this week becomes, just how are we going to handle winning? When now we had success, we know if we get beat, we're going to come out, we're going to be determined, we're going to have a sense of urgency. And now we've just got to have that standard each and every week, regardless of the outcome the week before. So I think it was a great learning lesson for us. I think we've had a great week of practice this week, and we're really excited about having the opportunity after 2 games to be able to come to Birmingham and come home.
I got to ask you about the quarterback situation. Alex Magoo started the game, but he was hurt on that first series. How is he progressing? And Matt Corral, who threw for 198 yards and a touchdown, he came in and did a nice job as his backup.
Yeah, I thought Matt did a really nice job. And as we've talked about from the beginning, we've got 2 quarterbacks that are proven winners, have both started here, have both won here, both very talented quarterbacks. I think in the opening game, we did not play very well. I think Alex, who's been a receiver for Green Bay for the last couple of years, I think kind of got his feet wet as a quarterback again and was able to watch the film and say, okay, I got to get better at some things. But when he went down, it's a next man up mentality. And I thought Matt stepped in and really did a nice job of preparing himself for the week, even though he wasn't going to be the starter. And after the first play, he had to go in and execute. And I thought he did a nice job. And it's always different. It's very difficult to prepare as a starter when you're the backup. But yet I think this week he's had a great week of practice, and really excited to watch him go out and play with a full week of practice under his belt as the starter. And, Case Cookus, who we brought in here during camp when Jamar decided not to come back, I think Case has gotten better and better, and he was able to get some reps as some backups this week. And I think he's really starting to feel more and more comfortable in the offense. And again, obviously Case Cookus has proven he's been a winner in this league as well, as we played him in the championship game when he was with Philadelphia. And so I think I really like the way the things the quarterbacks are doing and the way Matt is coming along, and Case is really starting to develop in it. I think with Alex right now, he's out with a shoulder. He will not play this week. We're not real sure how long that is going to be, but I think it's going to be an IR situation, and it's going to be a number of weeks. And so I think it's important that Matt continues to develop, but also that Case Cookus continues to come along, because he's one play away from being our starter.
All right, Coach, help us preview and scout the opponent that we're going to see inside of Protective Stadium on Friday night.
Arlington right now, they're 2-0. They're 2-0. They've given up 9 points in both of their first 2 games. They're playing really aggressive as a defense. I think I have said a lot that I think this is the most talented team we've had top to bottom, but I think the entire league has gotten better. And I certainly think that Arlington helped themselves during the offseason with some of the additions that they made to the roster. They've brought in some really good players. I think they're playing really well. They're playing really fast. I think it's going to be a great challenge, as they are 2-0 right now and coming to Birmingham. So we're excited. We haven't played them since the opening game last year, and so we're excited to have the opportunity to play them. Coach Bob Stoops, who was a longtime Oklahoma coach and won a national championship there, obviously is not any stranger to winning. And the first year of the XFL, Arlington was the one that won the trophy. And so I think they've got a really good program. They've got a really good football team. Luis Perez has led the league in passing last year, touchdowns last year. They have an explosive offense, and they have a really salty defense. So it ought to be a great challenge for us. But that's why I'm excited we have the opportunity to play them at home. Ought to be a great football game. But for the first time in 2025, we get a chance to come to Birmingham.
I got to ask you about the offensive line because all the consternation about that unit after week one, you guys shored things up nicely. No sacks given up in the game against Michigan after obviously a fluid performance in week one against the DC Defenders. So just tell us about what you saw there in regards to what made that offensive line seem like that they had righted the wrongs from week one.
Well, I think it was a couple things. I think when you have we have really 5 new players on our offensive line out of the 7 that were active, and so when you looked at them, there's a lot of new faces up there. I thought we played a little bit tentative in week one, where week 2 I felt like they went out and it was like the sense of urgency and the practice we had. I think they were embarrassed for the performance in the opening game, and I thought they came out and said, you know what, we got to get better. And I really thought they did a great job. I thought that, not all of those sacks are on them in the opening game, as I talked about with Alex kind of holding on to the ball a little bit long at times and kind of waiting for guys to get open instead of letting it go, trying to maybe do a little bit too much with his feet, where he ended up taking a couple of those sacks on his own. So I think it was just from an improvement standpoint. But I think those guys, they came out and I thought they had a great week of practice. And like I said, they certainly realized that they got to play better than they did in the opening game. And I thought they really came out, played a great game in the second game. And I thought Matt did a really nice job. A lot of times people want to put sacks on the offensive line, but I think the quarterbacks and the running backs are just as included in the protection as the offensive line is.
Coach Skip Holtz, Birmingham Stallions head coach, joining us here on Three Man Front and joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Been telling fans a chance it's going to be a first time to see you in person this season, but we're going to get to see you and maybe a couple of the Birmingham Stallions tomorrow as we get the free fan event there at the Finnick Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. We'll tell people about them every single day on this show, Coach, but 5:30 is the event, and they're going to have photo opportunities, maybe a Q&A with some of the players. It should be a really, really fun time to kind of reunite and chase that 4th straight championship.
Yeah, it's going to be great to be able to see so many of the fans that have made this experience for us so positive. I think it'll be a great event. The Finnick is just an outstanding place, and to go down there and to be able to mingle with the fans and be able to mingle with the players, I think it's going to be a great event. I would encourage everybody to come out. As you said, it's a free event. It's kind of a little bit of a pep rally, meet and greet many of the new faces that are going to be on this roster this year, and so it ought to be an awesome time. So I encourage everybody to come out tomorrow. What is that? Tomorrow night? I don't even know what day it is. These days all run together.
Tomorrow night.
But yeah, tomorrow night. Come on out tomorrow night. And then for everybody, Friday night football, I think this is going to be exciting. Everybody talks about the drawbacks to Friday night football. That's because that's for high school football in the fall. But yet here we are in spring football. And so we're not competing with high school football. It gives everybody the opportunity to go to their soccer games or softball games or whatever they need to do on Saturday and Sunday on the weekends. But ought to be a great venue, great night. Perfect weather, really looking forward to it. So looking forward to seeing not only everybody tomorrow night, but at the game on Friday evening as well.
Coach, I do have to ask you a master's question. One of our listeners said, Coach Holtz, his dad, Coach Lou Holtz, was a member of Augusta National. How many times have you been there on the grounds? Have you played the course?
I have played the course. I'm one of the very, very fortunate people, and it's like as many times as I've been blessed to have the opportunity to play there. I went and played tomorrow. Your feet still don't touch the ground till you get to about the 5th hole. It is just it's a spectacular place. It's a special week. It's Masters Week. It's a beautiful place. It's a great golf course, and the competition and being a major, and it's a special week this week. And kind of excited that we're playing Friday night, so I'm going to get a chance to watch some of the Masters on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're not going to be competing when they're out there playing. So yeah, it's a special week right now with the Masters Week, and it is a special place, and it's one of those few places that's probably better from the inside out than it is from the outside in. As great as it is from the outside in, and that's hard to do, but it is certainly a special place.
How buttoned up are you when you're playing out there? Because we were just going over, things that they allow, they don't allow. I would be nervous.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's why I said your feet don't touch the ground. You're afraid to take a divot. You know, I mean, the grounds are so beautiful and well manicured. You're afraid to take a divot when you swing the golf club. It's a special place, and it's, you know what? It's not just it's beautiful. The grounds are as well groomed as anywhere in the world. It is just a special place to look at. But even just to be there and to walk the grounds, it's a special place, and it's about golf. It's about respect for the game, the way that the game is played, with the honor and tradition that goes along with the game. And so, you know, it's certainly not one of those places. You know, there aren't a lot of beer carts rolling around when you get out there.
No, there's not. But there are plenty of souvenir cups and plenty of draft beer that they will pour you. But I did learn on Sunday, if you're there on Sunday and you're fortunate to be there, not until after 12:30 because of the church on the hill. All kinds of different storylines there. But
it's a special place. It really is, and it's a great week. And it's a week I look forward to every year. But just this is a week that I make sure that I thank my father for the opportunities that he's given me to go down there and play a couple times.
Amen. Coach, we will see you tomorrow night. I will see you there at the Fennec Rambler Sports Bar and Grill. Hopefully our fans will come out for the free event, 5:30. And then, of course, on Friday, Protective Stadium, we're going to be there as well. We just got to go 1-0 this week, right?
That's it. Just want to know. We got to find a way to win one game. It'll be a great challenge for us, but we've had a great week of practice and looking forward to getting there.
All right, Coach. Safe travels, you and the team, and we will see you tomorrow night.
I look forward to it. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow night.
All right,
Bye
Coach.
Now.
Coach Skip Holtz, giddy up. Birmingham Stallions on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and Molly HR services.
Well, spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable, so that's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. And right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor with select Trane home comfort systems. So to find out more, go and visit them at Trane.com.
Some of the takeaways and some other stuff going on right now. Pat Smith is grimacing at his phone. Things probably not going well with the Cardinals today. Well, we'll continue. 3-man front and Jocks 94.5.
11:51, Jocks 94.5. The basketball transfer portal is open. A very familiar name, Nick Pringle, who's at the University of Alabama, played this year at South Carolina.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Well, right now the word is from On3 Sports that he is most likely headed to Arkansas. So he'll be playing for Coach Cal.
Yeah, I thought this was a really interesting note that Nick Kelly, a friend of the show, does a great job there at AL.com covering Alabama. He put this on social media yesterday, and every player that transferred away from Alabama last year is back in the transfer portal, except for Mo Waggy, who graduated because he doesn't have any eligibility. So every player that transferred out of Alabama after the Final Four run is now back in the portal yet again this year. Not that brings me any joy or anything, but
it kind of brings you joy.
It brings me a little
bit. It brings you a little bit of joy.
Yeah, it makes me
Grass
happy.
isn't always greener, guys. And
unless you're in Oregon.
I feel like Nate and the program have moved on. They're okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I think they're fine.
Biggest surprise from that roster this year had to have been the production of Aiden Holloway for me.
Yeah, him and I would say him and the growth of Diabate probably.
On the same note, Mark Sears not being automatic every night.
Yes, that was unfortunate.
Would have been the trade-off, so you needed Aiden Holloway.
That was, well, and Grant Nelson had.
Yeah, and Grant Nelson had. Yeah. Where is he playing? What foreign country is he playing in next year?
Slovakia.
Okay. He's not going in the association, right?
He might find himself in the G League. That would be my realistic guess, is he will be a G League guy.
Go watch him down here.
Squadron? Well, yeah, that was never mind. Popular joke for some of those guys.
Yep.
So Big Ten Media Days has been announced this morning. Day one will be July 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So they will do the 3-day event like they did last year. It is not official, no word yet, but I was talking with someone around the Southeastern Conference, not who works downtown Birmingham, but someone that is very familiar with things in the conference. And he told me yesterday that it will be out soon, but July 14th will be the SEC Football Media Days. It has not been released yet officially, but that will be Monday, July 14th in Atlanta, Georgia.
And we get the All-Star game that week, right?
That is correct.
So the All-Star game is is that a Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
So it'll be just like last year when the All-Star game was in Arlington, which is just down the road from where we were.
We're going to go to the game, right?
Absolutely. Well, I thought we're getting a party bus, right? And we're just going to take it to Atlanta, and then we're going to go to Indianapolis the next week.
Well, then you got the Yankees and Braves on Friday.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
Busy week in Atlanta. You got SEC Media Days.
We'll stay with Barrett.
You've got the Home Run Derby on Monday night. Tuesday night, the All-Star game. They'll take a couple days off. Then the Yankees and the Braves. They're at Truist. Busy week in Atlanta.
Yep. 800-239-WJOX. Getting back to college basketball, Bucky McMillan, just a couple of days ago, named as the new head man there in College Station. Michael wants to comment on it. Hey, Michael, welcome in a three-man front.
Hey, Lansel.
Hey, buddy.
How do you think Bucky will do? Do you see him making it to the NCAA tournament his first year, or what's your comments on that? And then my second question is, do you have any candidates for Sanford? Any other candidates?
They have actually. Has it officially been named?
Yes. Lenny Acuff, the Lipscomb head coach, he's officially been named as Sanford's head coach, Michael.
All right,
Michael.
Well, all right. Well, what's your thoughts on Bucky?
Michael, thank you for the phone call. Now, Bucky's won everywhere he's been. Bucky knows basketball, and even if he didn't have the players, he's going to have plenty of resources to have players in College Station. But Bucky is very good at taking advantage of mismatches and just being privy to kind of his basketball mind, just from friends of ours that work with him kind of on that level. I think that he's going to be fine. And yes, I believe that they will make the NCAA tournament his first year. Bucky's really, really good.
They're going to love the style of basketball. A little bit different than what Buzz Williams.
Yep.
Not that Buzz Williams wasn't bad. He got him to the NCAA tournament 3 years. But
when you look at what he was able to accomplish.
Look at what he did at Sanford.
I was about to say nothing against Sanford, but it's just obviously the resources there are much different than what you have at a Texas A&M, and you can see how that translates. I mean, he should have, in my opinion, beaten Kansas. They got robbed of that win
Call
in the
away.
NCAA tournament two years ago. Yeah.
One call away. He referenced that in the
Yeah.
press conference.
But if you remember after that game, what did Bill Self say at the podium after that game? He said, "I never want to see that team again." Well, not gonna be that team, but
I was going to say, is
might see Bucky again.
Texas A&M playing Kansas next year?
We need to get that set up.
Well, Texas A&M wasn't that team that at least Bruce Pearl wanted to play because of what Buzz Williams did defensively.
Yeah.
This is going to be a totally different animal, but best of luck to Bucky. I think he's going to do well. A&M got a good one.
Coming up next on Three Man Front, AL.com's Peter Raderkus is going to join us. We will talk about the Auburn Tigers wrapping up the basketball season and the end of their spring practice on Saturday. We'll get his thoughts on what he's hearing in regards to the quarterback competition down at Auburn and the rest of the competition going on in certain position groups. This is the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. Thanks for tuning us in on the Ump in Huntsville, here on Jocks 94.5 in Birmingham, and down on Jocks 740 in the capital city. Landrum, Conrad, Molly, and myself will be back for 2 more hours. This is Jocks 94.5. It is 12 noon here on Three Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. We'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum Show. If you missed any of our interviews earlier in the show, Ben Portnoy joined us from the Sports Business Journal as he detailed his long day on Monday, over 7 hours on a Zoom call with U.S. District Judge Claudia Wilkin as she was meeting about the NCAA House hearing. He gave us the 411 on that. Skip Holtz, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions, joined us about 30 minutes ago as he was detailing the first home game coming up on, Friday night against the Arlington Renegades. And Bob Stoops coming to town. And joining us in just a couple minutes will be Peter Rauterkus, who covers the Auburn Tigers for AL.com.
Well, you've heard me talk about Second Generation now for a long time. Second Generation Masonry, a great Alabama-based company. Make them your choice when you need concrete, cinder block, or stonework done. Maybe it's an outdoor kitchen, fire pit, outdoor fireplace, anything when it comes to the outside, improving your curb appeal, but also not only the curb appeal, but entertaining friends, family, just enjoying your outdoor space. They can do it at Second Generation Masonry. Go to their website. Just check out some of their completed projects. And it's not only for homeowners, also commercial construction as well. If you're a project manager, superintendent, estimator, they can take care of you. 1-year guarantee on everything that they do. SecondGenerationMasonry.com. When you get your free quote today, make sure you tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline from AL.com covers the Auburn Tigers. Peter Rauterkus joins us now on Three-Man Front. Peter, I hope you're doing well on this Wednesday. Before we talk a little football coming up this weekend, I wanted to get your final thoughts on the Auburn Tigers basketball season that ended down in San Antonio.
Yeah, no, appreciate y'all having me. It was, obviously Final Four appearance, really cool weekend. But yeah, fell to Florida in the Final Four against, obviously the eventual champions. It was a really good game. Auburn was up by as much as 9, I want to say, early in the second half. But Walter Clayton, it was just a little bit too much. And Florida turned it on, much like they have against a lot of teams this season. And that was it. That was it for Auburn.
Peter, update us on roster. And I know a lot of stuff. It's fluid, and there's some things on the up in the air when it comes to the likes of Tahad Pettiford and others. But as far as guys that you just personally right now expect to be back on that roster, who would that be?
Yeah, not a lot. Obviously this is a very senior heavy group, so there's a lot of guys who just don't have any eligibility left. But kind of the big two that, everyone's looking at are Tahad Pettiford and Chad Baker-Mazara. Obviously Tahad, declared for the draft the other day while maintaining his college eligibility. And, right now I think he's listed as the number 39 overall prospect in the draft by ESPN, which will put him in the second round. And if he still has a second round grade, I'd be surprised if he stays in the draft, and he told ESPN that if he does come back to college, he will come back to Auburn. And then Chad Baker-Mazara, got an extra year with the JUCO ruling. And that's one that it's going to be the big we'll see in the next week or so, or however long, whether or not he will come back. He didn't really want to talk much about it when we asked him after the game on Saturday, but I think he's somebody that they would definitely welcome back.
Peter, just talking about the team in general, I know many of us, I predicted Auburn to win the national championship once the brackets were set. Just the shock value of what you witnessed around that program by losing to Florida. They knew what they got in regards to going up against Florida. They saw them up close and personal during the season. But just your thoughts on how shocked was this Auburn basketball team that they were not the team ultimately playing for the championship on Monday night?
Yeah, I think there's obviously, always an expectation to win, especially when you are the number 1 overall seed. But I think also everybody understood how good Florida was and how tough of a game that was going to be. Florida was a slight favorite for a reason. And when they played in the regular season, Florida was maybe the one team all season to not just beat Auburn, but really, outplay Auburn and, not have the game not even be super, super close. So yeah, I think, there was still some shock because you always go into a Final Four, especially when you're the number 1 overall seed, expecting to win. But, there was some shock, but I don't know. And obviously there was disappointment. Anytime you lose, disappointment. But, I don't think I don't know that anybody saw the Florida loss and is looking at the whole tournament run or the whole season as a failure because of it.
You can't replace a Janai Broome and certainly what Dylan Cardwell has meant for that program through his 5 years on the Plains. But big man, and that's where everybody looks in the portal. Some of the more prominent names we've already seen make commitments to go other places. What is your best guess as to Bruce Pearl, that coaching staff, and where they go to try someone to fill the void of the two that I mentioned?
Yeah, I think they're just going to go after, the best guys available, and that's kind of constantly changing as guys are still entering the portal, every day. We've seen them kind of go after a couple already. I mean, Flory Badunga from Kansas was somebody who they recruited out of high school, and then he had entered the portal, and it seemed like they were after pretty hard again. Ended up going to Kansas. Yaxel Lendeborg from UAB was another guy that they were recruiting a little bit out the portal, but he's committed to Michigan and might end up going to the NBA draft anyway. But so yeah, I mean, I think just they're going to try to get. That's the one spot where I think they're really going to go hard. I mean, they're really going to try to get the best guy possible. Like you said, you can't really replace, especially a guy like Janai Broom, but they're going to try to get somebody who's already very productive.
Talking to Peter Raderkus, joins us here on the Higginbotham Hotline, writes for AL.com. He's the Auburn beat writer for AL.com. All right, let's talk a little about football, about what's coming up this weekend, as whether you call it a scrimmage, a practice, whatever the case may be on Saturday. What's some of the prevailing storylines that you've been covering and hearing about during the spring practice session for the Auburn Tiger football team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the biggest storyline this whole offseason and will continue to be the storyline going into, when they kick things off against Baylor in August is quarterback. I mean, one, Jackson Arnold, who's as of now is expected to be the starter, the transfer from Oklahoma. And then Deuce Knight, the 5-star freshman who, from everything we've seen and heard, has had a really, really good spring and has been really impressive even as a early freshman. So, I mean, I think for fans, kind of to really get a look at those two, it's kind of probably be the thing everyone's most excited about going into Saturday. Providing some really good receivers to add on to a very young and talented core as well. So I think the offense in general, centered around the quarterback and the receivers, is kind of the most exciting thing when, looking at this team right now.
Who are some of the names that are getting buzz, whether it's a newcomer or a returning player, that you're hearing the most, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously mentioned, Deuce Knight. I mean, he's somebody that, as everyone's been talking a lot of, has impressed a lot of the coaches and players since coming in as a freshman. Well, one that's, from what it's impressed me, from what I've seen and from what I've heard has been really impressive is Sam Turner, another freshman receiver. Was a 3-star coming out of high school in the Atlanta area, and obviously comes into a room that's already loaded, but he has more than held his own in spring practice. It's been very, very good in the period we've been able to see. The coaches have had really good things to say about him as well. So he's one to watch. Horatio Fields, transfer receiver from Wake Forest, really good player, big body on the outside at 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds. So I mean, just that receiver core, I think, is going to be really, really good this season. I mean, might even be one of the best. It's still early, but might even be one of the best in the SEC.
Talking to Peter Raderkus from AL.com, talking about Auburn athletics, talking about the upcoming game, or I should say scrimmage. What are we actually calling it? Is it a practice? Is it a scrimmage on Saturday? I keep using the wrong terminology. I'm trying to get used to no more games in regards to this.
Right. I mean, it's I just call it the A-Day event.
There you go.
Now,
okay.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it'll be like a 90-minute open practice. They'll have autograph session with the players and coaches afterwards. So I just call it the annual A-Day event now.
Okay. That's the way I'm going to move forward with it as well. That and Alabama, both are rather confusing right now. All right. So Landrum just asked you about some of the names that's been popping here in spring practice. The transfer portal is going to open back up, and it is inevitable that everyone is going to have guys leave. Is there a certain position group do you think Auburn will still be active in of trying to acquire talent once that transfer portal opens up, or you think they're pretty good and set right now?
I mean, I think they still will. I mean, the position I'm looking at most is linebacker. That's one where they're a little thin right now. They're very young, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to add an impact player there. I mean, right now, they've obviously got DeMarcus Riddick coming back, the freshman who's really had a really good freshman year last year. And they've got Robert Woodyard, a more experienced guy. Hasn't played a whole lot, hasn't really started, but he's coming back in there as well. But then, you got Xavier Atkins transfer coming in the last window from LSU, but with the freshman at LSU last year, didn't play a whole lot. And then you've just got freshmen. I mean, you've got guys like Elijah Melendez, J.J. Falk, Bryce Diaz, who are all talented, have all shown flashes, but don't really know what you're getting yet with them. So that's the one position where I wouldn't be surprised to see them, at the very least go after some depth, but I wouldn't be shocked either to really go out and try to get an impact player at that spot, depending on who's available.
Peter, from the folks that you talk to around the program, not that it's set in stone, but what's the general feeling about where the strength of this football team will be in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned, I've mentioned it a few times, but I mean, like I said, it's the athletes on the outside. I mean, these receivers, I mean, Auburn is not a place where that has a very long or strong history of good receivers. It's always been known for running backs and defensive linemen. Is kind of what Auburn has always produced, and I think they'll be solid there this season. But this is one of the one of the best receiver corps that I've seen at Auburn in my lifetime, and like I said, I think will be one of the best, if not the best, in the SEC. So that's what makes the quarterback going into the fall so much more important, that because you had talent at receiver last year, but kind of the issue was you weren't getting consistent play at quarterback. You were turning the ball over a lot, and that cost you a lot of these close games. And so I think that's going to be what decides what this team's fate is next season.
And ultimately, maybe head coach Hugh Freeze's fate. What is that belief from you on the administration and maybe what that win-loss record needs to look like next season for him to continue?
Yeah, I don't know that there's a set record or a set number of wins that he needs to hit to be safe or anything like that. But at the same time, I mean, we're looking at it to year 3, and year 1. It was up and down, but it's year 1. Then year 2, they had some talent, and they regressed. I mean, their record got worse by a game. So I think there has to be a step forward this year, especially because this team has the talent to do so, and they've given him the resources to do it. I mean, Auburn, they've been very committed in NIL, since he's been here, and we're seeing that in this roster. So I think there has to be improvement. It's hard, I don't want to set like a number that there needs to be, because that's really hard to say. But I do think there has to be some improvement.
Peter Rauterkus, you can find his work covering the Auburn Tigers there at AL.com. Peter, we appreciate you joining us once again, and hopefully we'll talk soon, and enjoy the spring showcase A-Day event, whatever they're calling that.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right, appreciate it. Peter Rauterkus joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Yeah, for some time now, I've been telling you about my good friends over at Abide Roofing. Travis Lloyd and his team, they are absolute pros and the very best in the business, and they're offering something just absolutely fantastic right now. How about a free roof inspection? That's right. All these storms that we've been having, heavy wind, rain, hail, you need to make sure that everything's okay on top of your roof. No strings attached, no pressure. Just call Travis Lloyd at Abide Roofing at 205-922-7134. Go to their website, Abide, that's ABIDE roof.com, abideroof.com, and then get you set up immediately. They just want to be able to take a look on top of your roof and give you the peace of mind of knowing that everything is good to go. And if there is a problem, whether it's something that needs to be replaced, some shingles here or there, it's been knocked loose, or because of the wind or rain, they can take care of that. If you need a whole roof redone, they can do that as well. They did it at my house. I thought I had a very small problem, turned out to be a bigger problem. And the best part about it is that they will work with your insurance company. I was having an issue or two with mine, not a problem. Travis Lloyd was on my roof for over 2.5 hours with an adjuster, detailing and working things out, and I got a new roof. And because of what they do at Abide Roofing, that's why you need to trust them today by calling them at 205-922-7134. Your roof protects everything you have of value and what you care about in your house. So make sure it's all taken care of on top of your home. Abide Roofing, 205-922-7134.
Takeaways and thoughts on what Peter just told us, covering the Auburn spring practices as they continue down on the plains. Three-man front, the Wednesday edition, Jocks 94.5. 12:19 Wednesday edition of 3-Man Front. The par 3 golf tournament taking place right now at Augusta National. Traditionally, you do not want to win the par 3 contest, Conrad, because that means that you will not win the whole shebang.
Well, because you're not prepared for the par 4s and 5s then.
That's right. You're
Mentally,
focusing
it's
too much
very
on the par
confusing.
3. The par 3, but it's great to see all the kids out there. I saw Scotty Scheffler. He was doing a stand-up with Marty Smith of ESPN, and he had his young son there. But the kids wearing the caddy outfits, how do you not like that?
It is very cool.
It is. Of course, we're going to have our Masters pool that we did last year. Pat has been having the green jacket that we had specially
He won't
ordered.
stop talking about it either.
And if you missed it last year, we actually have a Masters replica green jacket that hangs in his office that we're hoping that he wears when we're out at Twin Peaks and Hoover on Friday as we're watching live coverage. But we'll keep you updated on leaderboard action there and some of the there's not much that we can do, though, with Price is Right as far as Masters concessions.
Well, everything's under $6.
But I'll tell you where we could have some fun, and we could do it with Masters souvenirs from the souvenir tent.
Ooh.
Because they only offer about 90,000 different items from baby onesies.
Yes.
First year I went over there, got the call late on Wednesday or late on Tuesday, and it was a buddy of mine that said, hey, I've got badges for Friday and Saturday. One of my clients, one of my customers cannot go. Can you go? Yes, absolutely. So we went over there, and then the next morning, it was a morning like this. The day before, 75, 76 and sunny. Next morning, breeze, cold, was not prepared. So they have the souvenir shop that you can go into, and you can spend your entire life savings.
But you'll get a nice quarter zip out of it.
You get a nice quarter zip. And it's funny when you buy something over there, you tend to take care of it.
And if something happens to it, it's going to be difficult to get a replacement.
But still, the stuff that I have that I probably had no business buying, like a money clip. I don't even use a money clip.
But you have it.
I got a Masters money clip.
See, that's like
Somewhere.
I have a like a collection of cups from the Masters because one of my buddies, his family went out there one year.
Like the clear draft beer cups.
Yeah, and he went out there and he got some, and he was like, "Well, he's like, sorry, I didn't buy you like a $180 quarter zip, but I got you some cups for the house." I was like, oh, "Okay, cool, thanks."
Yeah, but the $1.50 sandwiches, especially if you've gone at it pretty hard the night before, those are always clutch. Just get you about 5 or 6 of those. Just go find some bleachers. And
so
enjoy
are
it.
you going to do what you did last year where you chef up the Landrum's version of the Masters menu and you made those pimento cheese sandwiches that were excellent?
Yeah, I'll do some pimento cheese. I'm probably not going to do it up as much this year just because of schedule.
That's
Got
fair.
a lot of stuff going on.
I know.
It's just, I don't know.
I didn't mean to put pressure on you.
No, it's fine.
But I meant
you
to
want
put
the
a little
pimento
bit on you.
cheese. That's
They were
what you
good.
want. You like it? Did you have the egg salad too or no?
I don't know.
You don't do egg salad. Everybody's weird about it. I'm probably not
Mhm.
going to bring the egg salad up here. Our boss, for one, he hates the smell of eggs.
Just not a big fan of it.
Yeah, that's all right. Peter Rauderkus, who covers the Auburn beat, interesting some of the things that he had to say. Deuce night, that continues to be, and that's typically where a lot of the excitement's going to be generated. But the fact that you have Mike Gittins and others saying that he's been basically flawless as far as ball protection, accuracy. We've seen some of the videos, but it's Jackson Arnold's job to lose.
Yes. Similarly to, I think, when you talk about Alabama and all the great things you hear about Keelan Russell, it's still Ty Simpson's job to lose. And you didn't bring Jackson Arnold in there to warm your bench for the next year or two before he hits the portal again. So, no, I mean, these are good things that you want to hear. And look, if you're Auburn and you're in a situation where, you were just in a situation last year where you had 4 guys in that quarterback room that you didn't feel great about. Now, if you were to have 2 this year and Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight, that doesn't even get to what Ashton Daniel brings to the table with some of his experience as well as a third string guy. That's a big turnaround. And that can be, whether it's injury, whether it's a guy that struggles, having somebody that you feel confident in to go in and pick up the slack, whether it's 1 game, 2 games, half a season, that's something that Auburn didn't have last year. And we talked about that with, the Hank Brown situation where I hate it for the kid, but he clearly wasn't ready. But you were in kind of a lose-lose situation there. So it looks like things are a lot better in that quarterback room this year.
So Chris Lowe tweeted out this morning, because Chris has been spending a good bit of time here in the state of Alabama from ESPN.com. He was in Auburn, had the article talking about Hugh Freeze, talking about the payroll situation at Auburn, and he tweeted out this morning about the quarterback situation at the University of Alabama, saying after being on campus, Ty Simpson's best position to be the starter, but has got to win it. Hasn't done it yet. Austin Mack is battling and has some real support among players. Keelan Russell's most talented of the three, but a freshman legit race. The only thing that I have to say about that comment, and we've talked about it before, if you're a coach, are you starting the best quarterback because that's the quarterback that's going to give you the best opportunity to win? Or are you going to have a contest and ask your players to pick the quarterback? I mean, that comment right there about Austin Mack is battling and has some real support amongst the players. Okay.
Well, and I think that
it's
maybe
not a popularity contest.
No, and I think, if you're an Alabama fan, that maybe gives you some flashbacks to the situation a couple years ago with Milroe, where clearly he was the best option, and we learned that. But a lot of that was, the South Florida game, right? And why did Alabama play so poorly in that game? Sure, they played like garbage regardless, but a lot of it you heard was the players kind of revolted when they benched Jalen Milroe because that's the guy that they wanted. And I understand you have your teammates back, but at the same time, coach has to do what he thinks is best to win. It doesn't matter if he's the most liked guy in the locker room. Who gives you the best chance on the field to go out there and win 10, 11 games and get back to the college football playoff? This is not the year to play the popularity card.
Well, and if you can have that discussion with your team, and if there is factions that are building, or there's this camp for Ty Simpson and this camp for Austin Mack, then you go ahead and you let the competition play out. And then, in my opinion, you cut bait before the start of the season because you don't want something like that festering in your locker room. You've got a guy that you're pretty high on for the future.
So right now, do you think all three of those guys are on Alabama's roster week 1 of this fall?
No.
I do not either. I think it's easy to see where maybe the odd man out would be.
Yep. More Chris Lowe. He said he asked Jeremy Bernard, wide receiver, Alabama, some of the names that have emerged this season for Alabama football, or will emerge for the season, I should say. Wide receiver Rico Scott, safety Xavier Mincy, safety slot Dre Kirkpatrick Jr.
Go Huskies.
He also said that the OG Jaden Roberts is healthy and has improved as much as anybody. You're going to see it pay off, according to Jeremy Bernard. Yeah, I got to see Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. I think a couple times when he was at Gadsden City. We played them.
I saw his dad play at Gadsden City and called the game.
You're old.
Yeah.
You are so old.
And that cannon scared me. Ooh. When they built their new stadium, cannon would go off.
Rod was 759?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're watching pregame drills and going, yeah,
we'll be playing there this year.
That doesn't look like it's fair that they have to play against him.
Do you know it's a quicker drive for us from Trussville to get to Gadsden City than it is to get to Thompson? Isn't that crazy?
They should move y'all's region.
No, we're good.
No,
I mean, we had to go up to Huntsville and play 2 years in a row. No, we're good.
You're gonna be going to Newmarket and Harvest.
Already checked that box, my friend.
All those places.
Yep, already checked that box.
Then all of a sudden, Alabaster looks like just a beep.
Buckhorn's a beautiful, beautiful high school stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Time of the year that we played there.
Yeah.
Very picturesque. Enjoyed it.
I got the helmet in my office. The Buckhorn, one of our listeners, Buckhorn coach.
Great helmet.
Yeah, it's a great helmet.
It's a fantastic helmet. When we come back on Three Man Front, we do this every year. We have our own Masters draft. We get to choose 5 golfers, and that's who we play for the weekend. And whoever comes up with the best score gets the...
Wait for it.
Wait for it. No?
No. We had a patron in the gallery that looked like she was
struggling with pollen.
Gazoon tied all over the place.
Nope.
Call it up.
False alarm.
Let it go. Let it go. Come on. Get it out.
I'm sure it'll come back.
Get it out.
Well, it's gone now.
When we draft, will you have your Azalea shirt so everybody could see it?
Of course.
Okay. I'm going to go put my jacket on.
Oh, yeah, you should.
I am.
Me and Conrad will just wear what we're wearing.
Lame.
I'm comfortable.
I have a master shirt.
That's what
for
third and
tomorrow,
fourth place
too, I'm
gets
gonna
you.
wear.
That's right.
What are you wearing tomorrow?
My blue master shirt.
Nowhere for us to go but up, baby.
We'll wear what the patrons wear.
She's got more Masters clothing than I do.
Does she?
I have 47 years worth of master's clothing. We are stacked in my household.
I've got 0.
Except for the jacket.
Yeah, the jacket that I won last year.
Yeah.
That was made in China. All right, more 3-man front. This
Vietnam,
is Jocks.
get it right.
Oh, sorry. Jocks 94.5.
Wonderful look at Rays Creek as more patrons filing in here as the weather has passed. And it looks like we're going to have picturesque tournament golf here at Augusta National. Landry Roberts along with Pat Smith, Conrad Van Order standing by at hole number 13. Molly Robinson is standing by a group of azaleas. They're flourishing here in this early part of spring.
Me and my extra large pink shirt.
Thanks for joining us on 3-Man Front here on this Wednesday. Pat Smith is wearing the jacket. And that's why
I am wearing the jacket.
You have to get into the voice with that music. And Pat Smith, that's a good looking jacket.
A little snug.
Yeah. Don't do fat guy in a little coat.
If I do that, it's
it's gonna go Tommy boy.
It was fine when he was standing up perfectly still.
It was. Yeah.
If I don't move. All right. So during the break, what we did is we drew numbers. We're each going to get 5 golfers. And Landrum Roberts is going to choose first. Molly Robinson second. I'm third. Conrad's fourth. This will not be a snake draft. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then back to Landrum.
You sure we don't want to reconsider that?
Yes, we don't.
All right. So with all that being said, Landrum,
Yes.
you're on the clock.
All right.
Who are you picking? Your first pick.
It's a long shot. Probably won't happen again, but I got to go with Scotty Scheffler. It's my number 1 pick.
All right. Landrum takes Scheffler. How about you, Molly?
I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, but I have faith in him. Give me Roy McIlroy.
Okay.
Oh, I
Molly
thought you were going
takes-
to take Tiger.
No.
I will try to help you, Conrad, any pronunciations you might run into as you were picking fourth, and you might
Thank you.
start
Yeah.
running into those pretty soon.
Yeah.
I am taking Ozander. Give me Shoffley.
Oh, Shoffley.
It's a great pick.
Going Pat Smith.
Thank you.
Going Shoffley.
I am going to go
Of course you
in
are.
honor of our good friend Hastings. No, I'm not going to take the Alabama guy. I'm
Oh.
going to go with Bryson. I'm going to take Bryson DeChambeau.
Look at you. Okay. Landrum, you're up.
CVO. I will take the Alabama guy.
Taking Justin?
I will
JT?
take Justin Thomas.
All right. So you got Scheffler and Thomas. Not bad. How about you, Molly?
I am going to take Colin Morikawa.
Look at you, the Cal grad.
Yeah. Berkeley.
I love the
Go
Calgary.
Bears. Grrr.
Ought to go.
I am going to go Ludwig Eborg.
Aberg.
Taking him.
Ludwig.
He went to Texas Tech.
Guns up.
He loves out. What is it? Lubbock.
Mhm.
If he loved Baghdad, he's going to love Augusta.
Well, all right. So for my next pick, I will admit our conversation with Doug yesterday has me hesitating a little bit, but don't want to overthink things too much. I will take John Rahm.
Okay. Conrad with John Rahm. Back to Landrum.
Ooh.
Oh, now here.
We have yet to deviate from the odds leaderboard. I would just say
No,
that.
I'm going to do it though. I'll go Koepka.
Landrum takes Brooks Koepka.
Just man, if I can't win with this chalk.
Molly?
I will take Hideki Matsuyama.
All right. I am going to take Russell Henley.
Okay, Pat going off the course here a little bit.
Great
I like,
sleeper pick.
I like
He's
that.
He's a past champion, so we really can't question his picks.
I am going to go with a young buck. I'm going to take Victor Hovland with my next pick.
Typically, Victor comes out of the gate pretty hot on his
Mhm.
Thursday morning round.
He did well for me last year, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Okay. So, Landrum, you got 2 more picks, correct?
Correct.
All right. What's your next one?
My next pick will be. Why not? Jordan Spieth.
Molly?
I'm going to take Tommy Fleetwood.
I'm going to take Sepp Straka.
There you go.
Okay. Uh-huh.
right
uh-huh.
here in Birmingham.
All right. I will I mean, he's sitting there. I'll take him. I will take Joaquin Neiman.
And I don't know who this listener is.
But he's giving you a suggestion that
He
you should
is.
take.
I'm going to go with Patrick Kentley.
All right, Molly, your final pick.
I will take a blood relative of our own Pat with Cameron Smith.
Okay, my last pick. Give me Tyrell Hatton. And Conrad, your last one.
I got to do it. I understand maybe this isn't the smartest decision that I could make, but
Patrick Reed.
nope.
Shane Lowry.
Give me Nick Dunlap.
Look at you.
Roll Tide, baby.
All right. Molly is going to have all these up on our social media, and you'll be able to follow along as I win the jacket again. I will retain the jacket for a second year in a row.
Don't stretch it out. I got a good feeling about this one.
Dunlap is really far down there compared to everyone else.
I know I had to go through all the pages.
Here
to
were
find
some
I know.
other-
I'm like, is he's on here, right?
He is.
Oh, he's on the
And here
last
were some
page.
others that I was looking at different sites where they were giving sleeper picks. Sepp Straka was definitely one that was mentioned numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
One that was not picked, but if you remember 2021, he was the runner-up, Will Zalatoris. That was another name that I saw multiple times. And then Patrick Reed, potentially for a top 20 finish.
I think
guy
Doug threw
nobody-
in. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think Doug threw in Daniel Berger as well.
Daniel
Is that
Berger.
another popular one?
Did not see his name. He's at plus 10,000 odds, but also saw Corey Connors. His name was listed, and as well as DJ Dustin Johnson. Both of those guys are at plus 6,600. Nobody went on.
Molly stole my Cam Smith. I wanted Cam Smith.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
You just like the mustache.
Are you kin to Cam? Probably.
Probably.
All right. Let's see how many of our listeners were yelling. Oh, that's funny.
What were they saying?
Are people disappointed in our picks?
I'm sure they're Nick Dunlap is way on down the list.
Hey, sometimes you just go with your gut.
Yeah. Let's see. Dave says Rom wins minus 20 and ties DJ's record.
I would love that.
So you took Neiman, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Tim says, man, Landrum has the golf dream team. Way to go, buddy. Well, I did go with chalk.
Well, he paid for the first overall pick, so.
Dutchman, thank you. Appreciate it. Adam says you should look up Taste of the Masters and discuss it.
Taste of the Masters?
He said, this will be my second year to have it delivered on Friday. It's a great party deal. My wife is also making the peach ice cream sandwiches. Man.
Oh, yeah. It's sold out.
Where do you live, Adam?
That is really cool, though.
You going to his house?
If he invites me. All right. Hope you enjoyed that.
All right. So just recapping here, you got Scheffler, Thomas, Spieth, Koepka, and Cantley. Is that correct?
I've got Thomas, Scheffler, Koepka, Spieth, Cantley. Yes.
Okay. Molly's got McIlroy, Morikawa, Matsuyama, Smith, and Fleetwood.
Correct.
I only went with some M's.
I got Xander, Ludwig, Henley, Hatton, and Straka. Conrad's got Rahm, DeChambeau, Hovland, Neiman, and Dunlap, right?
Correct.
There you go.
And we're deciding it. We're going to take the cumulative scores
Correct.
of all 5 golfers, and whoever's the lowest under par total, that will be the winner.
That is correct.
Last year, it was whoever had the winning golfer. And you had Scheffler, so you won.
I think that was just coincidence that he had the winning golfer because it was not by winner, because there's the chances are that we pick one of the guys who wins is probably not that great.
Well, and the reason why we did that, too, was because someone, I won't name who, but had 4 of their golfers miss the cut.
Yeah.
And if their one golfer did really well under par, then how do you balance it,
So what are we doing? We need to decide.
I just wanted to clarify that before we...
Well, I know. Let's make a decision.
I'm fine with just taking the cumulative score of all 5 of your golfers, and then if there were a tie, then we can go to, I don't know, who had the best score. Like, right, if you had a golfer that was 18 under par and Landrum had someone that was 16 under par, then Pat would win the tiebreaker.
Or do we want to say that if one of our golfers on our roster wins it, then that trumps everything else?
No.
I like the cumulative score.
No, because remember we're complaining about the guy who had Houston in his bracket the other night when Paige had all those great picks,
You're
and this
right.
guy's hanging out at 16th, but
Okay.
because he wants to be the oddball, he picks Houston.
I like cumulative score, and if your guys don't make the cut, then that's going to really put you behind the 8 ball. So good luck, everybody.
Good luck, everybody. If you're playing at home, good luck. Everybody else having their draft. All right, we'll continue here on Three Man Front. More of your texts that we will get to. We'll open up the phones as well. 800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450. We continue on your home for a lot of things. Jocks 94.5. $12.49, 3 Man Front. Masters field is set. Our show tournament pool is set. Pat Smith has put the jacket back onto the mahogany hanger. And that sound means there's breaking news on the show. For more, we'll keep it right here at the breaking news desk. My name is Landrum Roberts. Good afternoon. Right now, Major League Baseball game in progress. St. Louis taking on Pittsburgh. Bottom of the 6th inning. There's no score in the game. But more importantly, St. Louis right now pitching the no-no.
Well, Pat, he just ruined it for you.
That's okay.
We're not supposed to talk about those kinds of things.
That's all right. But I do have some other breaking news.
There's a no-hitter, though.
Yeah. Bottom of the 6th.
Bottom of the 6th inning. Pirates batting.
We got to do it again.
Yeah.
That sound means there's more breaking news on the show. And for that, we'll send it around the horn. Playing the hot corner today, one Pat Smith with a well-defined mustache and sideburns. Gold medallion necklace.
Bad news, Conrad. Jaron Stevenson is in the portal.
Oh.
So Chris Stewart was on the program yesterday. He felt pretty good about Jaron Stevenson hanging out for another year at the University of Alabama. He has entered into the transfer portal. So he and Mo Diabate, two of the bigger pieces on that Alabama roster last year. Kind of surprising. I thought Stevenson might hang out for another year, but not so fast. He is in the transfer portal.
Do we get a reverse Aiden Holloway?
That's fine. Not torn up about that one.
Wow.
Well, Auburn fans weren't torn up about Aiden Holloway either.
No.
Got all the potential in the world, but he was bad this year. Just call a spade a spade. He was bad.
Top 50 overall recruit.
But he's 6'11", Conrad.
Started 22 games this season.
I could go find someone on the street that's 6'11" and put him out there.
But he's so tall.
Wow.
My goodness.
Just the
Boy, he is.
Wow.
We have put the burr under the saddle of one Conrad Van Order.
He's secretly dying on the inside.
He really is.
The
Yeah.
Diabate one hurt. I was honest. The Diabate one, that one stung.
So this one didn't sting.
No. I'm fine with that.
And you said you can go get a 6'11" person off the street
Off
that
the
can
street
play, that can
that
play
can
better
play
than Jared
basketball.
Stevenson, which was a top 50 recruit in the 2023 cycle.
You apparently did not listen to Kelvin Sampson when he was talking about height. Did you see that when he said everybody makes such a big deal out of height? And he said our guy, I think he was talking about Cryer. He's 6'1", and pretty sure he's been consistently guarded by guys that were 6'5", 6'6" all year.
Well, Jaron Stevenson and his 17% shooting percentage this year was really elite, so, or whatever it was. It was
Man, how
awful.
quickly you forget that he literally got you into the Elite Eight and the trip to the Final Four the way that he played.
And I greatly appreciate that over a year ago.
It's what have you done for Conrad now?
Exactly.
Let's see. If
We're
this
moving
is-
on.
Let's see if this is getting any traction. Jaron Stevenson to Auburn. I don't know. He'll probably go to Kansas. That's where they all go.
Just swap him for Rylan Griffin.
And you would think, all kidding aside, so we like to rib Conrad here, with Diabate and Stevenson both gone, I think that bodes very well for Darian Reed for staying.
I would think so. I will put it this way. I would be shocked if either Darian Reed or LeBaron Philon is not back next year. And maybe this makes it look like both.
I am on one of the Auburn sites right now, and I don't know if we mentioned this, but Keyshawn Murphy, forward from Mississippi State, entering the portal.
Yeah,
He's a Birmingham guy.
from Birmingham.
Yeah.
Averaged 11.5 points, 7.4 rebounds, and just over a block per game this season. But someone has posted that Jaron Stevenson has the do not contact tag.
I mean, I think we know where he's going. I would be shocked if it's not back home.
To North Carolina.
Or maybe he likes Will Wade.
That would be something.
Ooh,
Wouldn't that be something?
I like that angle.
But yeah, I would think he'd be back somewhere in the state of North Carolina.
Like UNC Charlotte.
Maybe not there.
But golly, wouldn't you think that if you enter the portal, you want as many people to contact you as possible? It's so weird.
Also, Auburn wing Ja'Kai Howard, he has entered the portal
Interesting.
from Auburn.
That was expected. Well,
6'6" freshman, averaged 4.2 points per game this season, a former 4-star recruit.
so the belief was that if Chad Baker-Mazara intended to come back, then Ja'Kai Howard was going to head out.
So, man, things happening here in the last few minutes in the transfer portal for both Alabama and Auburn. Jared Stevenson, transfer portal. Ja'Kai Howard, transfer portal for Auburn.
They gone.
No contact tag on Jared Stevenson, which typically means the deal was done. They're waiting on the check to clear.
Do you want
Moving
to
on.
800-239-WJOX? We do have Dr. Mel who's been waiting.
Yeah, let's
you
talk
want
to him.
chime in on the
Absolutely.
Masters. Hey, Dr. Mel, how are you?
Great, guys. How are you all today?
Doing wonderful. Thank you, sir.
All right. This is one of my favorite times of the year, the end of the college basketball season, and of course, the 89th Masters at Augusta.
It's a great time of year. It's my favorite.
And matter of fact, I have a little info for you all today. One of my friends is playing in his final Masters today, Bernard Longer.
Oh, is he?
Bernard will be here in Birmingham in about 6 weeks. He and Tom Lehman, along with Freddie Couples, they'll be here at the Regents Classic. But Bernard has played. This will be number 41 in terms of the Masters, and you won't meet a greater golfer than Bernard Longer and his dear friend and my dear friend Tom Lehman. These men love the Lord, and Bernard, the last 17 years, has won a tournament, even on the senior tour, every year, including last year when he won 2. And of course, the chairman, Fred Ridley, this morning acknowledged Bernard and his contributions to the Masters over the years. And of course, this will be his last active round today. I had the privilege back in 2007. My best friend and I, we had the opportunity to walk the last 9 with Arnie in Arnie's Army. And sight to behold. I've been to Augusta probably 15 times, and you can spread a picnic blanket and just go to town. And so just one of the greatest golf tournaments ever. And of course, Scotty, they had the dinner for Scotty last night, and as we know, Tuesday night, and the past champions dinner. And so I look for Scotty to actually repeat. I have Rory McIlroy a close second, along with Victor Hovland. So I'm kind of out there on the edge. But and also another outside shot is Keegan Bradley. And matter of fact, in Group 6 tomorrow, they'll tee off at 8:35 a.m. as Bernard Longer, Will Zalatoris, and Noah Kent. And of course, and the group that will go off
It is 1 o'clock. Welcome back in. It's three-man front. Jocks 94.5. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. Love to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX, the Courtesy GMC text line, and we've got plenty of text to get to. That number is 205-834-9450. The aforementioned Courtesy GMC in Trussville, they invite you to come out and take a look at their just incredible inventory they currently have on brand new GMCs. And I'm talking about the GMC Sierra truck, the Yukon XLs, the GMC Canyon truck, the GMC Acadias. I drive the AT4 Acadia, just a fantastic crossover vehicle. And how about the Terrain as well? Don't forget about their pre-owned inventory, the best you're going to find anywhere in the state of Alabama. You don't need to go anywhere for a brand new GMC except right there in Trussville and Courtesy GMC. Compare dealerships. They encourage it. No one else is going to beat what Courtesy GMC can deliver to you with just incredible savings. Go see them off I-459 in Trussville, exit 32, or check out their inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. Go by and see Drew Lally, Josh Gargis, and just the incredible team they have at Courtesy GMC, courtesybirmingham.com. Some headlines at this hour. Just a few moments ago, Alabama sophomore forward Jaron Stevenson entered the transfer portal. 2-year starter there for Alabama. Came off the bench a lot this year, but he did start in 22 games this season for Alabama. And also, Ja'Kai Howard, forward at Auburn. He has entered the transfer portal, the 6'6" freshman, averaged 4.2 points per game this season, a former 4-star recruit. So of those two, which one shocks you the most, Landrum? Is it Stevenson at Alabama or Howard at Auburn?
Based on our conversation with Voice of the Tide, Chris Stewart, yesterday, and believing that Stevenson would come back and give it another go, I would say that probably it would be Jaron Stevenson. No, it is Jaron Stevenson for me.
Conrad didn't want him anyway, so it didn't matter.
I'm fine with the decision. I think a lot of Alabama fans are probably not super heartbroken about. I mean, again, it's nothing against the kid. Yeah, he brings a lot of size. He has a lot of potential. It's just you didn't see that growth from the NCAA tournament 2 years ago to this season, and
there's some people that agree
works.
with you on the text line. 205-834-9450. We'll take you there now. And this one reads, Conrad is right about Stevenson and good riddance. 2 to 3 good games a year.
I mean, he averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds a game for Alabama this year, and he started 22 games. So just saying.
I don't want Stevenson. He plays like a soccer player trying to play basketball. Josh in Huntsville. What? Pat, keep the same energy when Bama lands a big transfer. You get so excited when things go against Bama. You and Bama hater have kindred spirits.
Yeah, Pat, what's up with that?
Did something negative happen at Alabama? Because based on what we just reported,
That was the good news.
Conrad said nobody wants him.
Exactly. Dave, come on. We can't read that one. Former Alabama player that. Alabama basketball player. It's
the one that you were asking me what would happen if I wore their jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think you can buy those.
Kevin with a suggestion for our bracket. If a player doesn't make the cut, just give them an 80 for the day. I forgot how we figured that out last year. If a player doesn't make the cut, but it carries over and still factors against you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Dr. Mel just outed Landrum's Augusta Masters plan. Spread out a picnic blanket and go to town.
Sounds like a lovely Masters weekend.
Sand wedge or putter from the rough. Faldo used to claim he just, why not use a driver? Remember that was kind of the in vogue thing, Pat?
Mm-hmm.
He would take the
Out
driver right off the green.
Oh, right off the green.
Bigger club face, less room for error.
Yeah, I could see where that would make sense.
Nick says not shocked about Howard at Auburn going to the portal. I'll say This will be the biggest roster rebuild since Pearl has been at Auburn. Nick from North Birmingham. Thank you. Michael said when we played the breaking news sounder for the second time, he thought we were going to say the no-hitter had been broken. To be honest,
That
I
would've
didn't
been
know
great.
because Pat was watching in real time and I had the score here, but Pat is actually watching the video feed and that crossed my mind. Good call there.
Got a couple pitchers duels going on. Me and Molly are right in the midst of one right now.
Mm-hmm.
0-0 in the fourth.
Check out Fresh Take Grocery in Augusta. It has a putt-putt course, a bar, and a smokehouse grill, etc. Coolest grocery store I've ever visited. That sounds awesome.
That's awesome, yeah.
Adam, who's got the Taste of the Masters being delivered to his house, and currently, as Molly said, it is sold out. Not that I didn't believe you, Molly. I just wanted to make sure. But Adam said, come on, Landrum, we will have plenty. Did you say that?
He did.
Oh.
Yeah, Molly was looking like, wait, what did I say?
Thanks for the credit, though.
Well, if she would shave her beard,
Yeah, I know.
I'd be able to tell you two apart.
We look very similar now.
Need to do a cumulative score in case of a miscut. Pat, we'll have to get together how we figured that out last year. Because like all of my guys missed the cut last year.
They did.
They did.
I still have it from last year. They did.
Well, trust
I think
me.
you had one.
I just said it.
Mhm.
I know.
I'm glad you remembered.
Yeah, because I guess technically if you had, all of your golfers that just barely missed the cut, you could still win
Mhm.
if the rest of our guys kind of poo-pooed their pants and, finished with a really bad weekend.
BB says, so if you're at the Masters, you can't yell, quote, where are the hot women at?
Nope.
Probably not.
Well, BB, they would probably let her do it, but
It was interesting. The article I was reading, it said that when Tiger Woods came back after all of his indiscretions, they had a list of 18 things that if security heard anybody say towards Tiger, out.
were they all names?
Well, no, they were just derogatory phrases
I know.
about things that he had been involved with.
No, I know, but there were about 18 of them from what I remember.
Pat, since we can't do it and you were out of the room at the second, we can't do concession prices on Prices Right. We're getting
Right.
requests for Prices Right. What if we do memorabilia?
No,
from-
matter of fact,
from
I've
the
got 2
souvenir?
or 3 Prices Rights ready to go. And I originally had thought about, but the Masters, it's just so
It's so
$2,
easy.
$3.
$150, $3, $2, $6.
No, I've got some. I've got a couple in the bullpen ready to go. It'll be back.
I don't think I could pull the trigger. Well, I mean, who cares? It's $3, but the new tomato pie that they're introducing this year, and it's like an empanada.
I was also reading an article about the cheese they put on the hamburgers.
Okay.
That
Is it very high quality cheese? Or
well,
what?
all these different vendors that they're able to go out and get just because they can say we're the official.
Yeah, we're
Not
selling
that,
this
not
at the
that they're out there
Masters.
trying to, but it's just private. Like they know that this is their cheese that they're using and the distributors and the people that they use.
Speaking of cheese, a lot of people don't know this, but the Masters pimento cheese, I don't know why you would, but they actually use several different types of cheeses, and one of them is grated Swiss.
I did not know that.
I didn't use.
I thought pimento cheese was its own like I didn't know it was a combination of.
Usually you go with a really sharp cheddar,
Okay.
and then you can throw in some others.
Okay.
But actually, the reverse engineered Masters pimento cheese recipe actually calls for like the Kraft's Deluxe American cheese, not the kind that comes in the cellophane, but I guess
the singles.
the ritzier.
Yeah. I got you.
But it calls for a processed cheese, makes it easier.
So how close? So okay, since you've been there, and you made those pimento cheese sandwiches for us last year, which again were excellent. How close was what you were able to reverse engineer with your recipe? How close was it to what you actually got in Augusta? Pretty close.
Oh yeah, yep.
Because yours was very good, so I can't
Well, thank you.
imagine the Masters being that much better.
J Ray says Landrum green 38 at Augusta, the one I was asking Doug Bell about yesterday. It's a nursery green located close to the maintenance shop.
And so they can
So
transport.
they can experiment, I'm guessing.
Okay.
different things on the green. That can be their trial green before they go and they burn one up, or I don't know, nursery green.
That makes sense.
Maybe you can take parts of that green in case.
Well, that's what I was saying. Maybe they have that as a reserve in case they need to go and replace something very quickly. That's cool.
Mrs. Stratton's does not make their pimento cheese. There's no way.
At the master, someone's saying that's who makes the.
Said someone called in and said on Mac and Cube show that it's Mrs. Stratton's, which does make it in Birmingham. There was a dead end where their factory used to be here that we would all go and hang out in high school.
Okay.
There was a little off-road trail right up there behind it. I don't believe that. Maybe it is. But I've had Mrs. Stratton's, no disrespect. It tastes a lot different. And
maybe they break out the real good stuff.
And if you've been holding that out, holding that back from us,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Shame on you, Mrs. Stratton.
No hitters, no more.
Is it gone?
Actually, the Cardinals pulled their starter who was throwing the no-hitter after 6 innings. He had thrown 88 pitches. So they brought in the bullpen. And with 2 outs in the 7th inning, they just gave up a single.
Who's pitching for y'all? Or who was?
Fetty.
So it's not, okay.
They pulled him after 88 pitches. It's kind of cold in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Okay.
Jim from Jasper says that Stevenson going to LSU, if Bama knew last week, they would have offered Chess from LSU. May end up at NC State. Corey Chess, where did he go?
I think he went to Ole Miss.
He went to Ole Miss.
That sounds right.
We pay good money over there.
If you work at
Y'all
Mrs.
do?
Stratton's, I have to know this. You can call off the air, but there's no way that is Mrs. Stratton's egg salad and pimento cheese. Keep the text rolling in. We read them all, just not all on the air. 205-834-9450. Brandon adds that Gus will coach at Auburn again one day. I would not put it out of the room if Gus would come back in an offensive coordinator role with his buddy Hugh Freeze. Could you see that? How do you think that would go over?
I don't think people would have a problem with that if that's what the head coach wants. You've already paid him his money.
He still got the Lake place.
Yeah.
That was Auburn. That will be very interesting this season.
I think he wants Norvell's job.
You think so?
I think he was looking for an exit plan in Orlando. He got it. Now let's see what happens with.
Talking about Gustavo?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens there.
Bubba Watson, by the way, on top of the leaderboard at the par 3 tournament.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Do we have anything going on
along with Davis Riley?
You trying to get some action on the par 3 round, Pat?
Are they offering that action? Sure they are.
Let me take a gander. And
What's the live line on Bubba right now?
Let's see. Nope.
One guy that would, I have no idea where that's coming from. One guy that would blend in a Masters gallery. Don. Hey, Don.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, Molly, congratulations on your Tigers beating Conrad's Yankees last night.
Well, thank you, Don.
Okay, and by the way, guys, I was involved with why Conrad's so fired up today. It's all John Mack, the A&M idiot's fault, okay?
Yeah, I heard Conrad get all bent out of shape this morning, really early in the morning, kind of upsetted my Frosted Flakes.
Oh, Pat, he was fired up, my brother. He was fired up. Now, a little bit of advice for you, Pat. Stay away from the 4-3 contest because I know you've been watching that forever and everything. Once they let their little kid hit the ball, they're disqualified. So I would not do that.
No, I can't. I don't think there's anything going on right now. So
I didn't think so anyway because, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. They let their little kid hit the ball. And matter of fact, do you remember when Nicklaus's grandson made the hole-in-one tonight?
I think I do remember that. Yeah.
But, hey, have any of y'all ever been over there? That's what I wanted to call it.
Yeah, Landrum's been over there.
Okay, and hey, Landrum TV don't do it justice, does it, buddy?
No, it doesn't. TV makes it look flat. It is anything but flat.
Oh, Landon, did
Where are
you
your
happen
tennis
to walk
shoes?
up? Did you walk from tee to green on 18?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
If you go with your
the
wife or
hell.
your girlfriend, make sure that they wear comfortable shoes. I don't care
Yep.
how cute the shoes look with the outfit. If you're going to be walking, they need to be making sure that they're wearing athletic shoes.
Yeah,
yes.
I went over there in the 90s, in the mid 90s, I think Palmer's last year, and I got to go today on the practice round, but the par 3 contest got rained out. But I got lucky, guys. And Landon, if you were walking it, I mean, I didn't really know where everything was because it's my first time there, but I got on the 17th fairway, and Lehman and Garcia were coming up, so I said, let's go this way, and I ended up being on number 10 behind the green, and all of a sudden you saw this big throng of people coming down the fairway. It was Tiger Woods, Mark O'Meara, Ernie Els, and Lee Westwood, and man, that was a thrill of a lifetime. Got to walk 6 holes, and it started raining, but I don't know if y'all know this, but when they get on 16 today in the practice round, they'll go up after they hit their shots. They go up to the pond and skip it over the water.
Yep. I was
Yeah,
there.
I
That's the
actually
best
saw
place. In my opinion, if you're going to camp out, go to 16. It's the par 3. That is the skip hole that Don's talking about. But you have the par 5 that on 15 where you can watch that green. You can see guys approach shots and watch that. But I was there the year that Martin Keimer, another German golfer, there's no cell phones, but there was one cell phone apparently that was filming. He did the skip, and actually it skipped onto the green, rolled all the way around, and then came down, went into the hole.
Yeah.
Everybody went nuts.
Yeah,
and they had grainy
the
cell
year-
phone
the year
footage
I
that
was-
they showed on SportsCenter Top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. But Landon, the year I was there, John Daly skipped it into the hole. The year I was there.
Wow. Yeah.
But guys, thank y'all. And a little reminder, I'm hoping to see everybody at the event tomorrow night, 5:30 at Ramblers, everybody. So I hope to see y'all there.
All right, Don. I'll see you there. 5:30 tomorrow night, free event. Coach Skip Holtz and some other Birmingham Stallions going to be there for you to interact as we get ready for the home kickoff coming up Friday at Protective Stadium.
Well, you remember when Nebraska chickened out and they pulled out of their series?
Which time, Pat?
With the University of Tennessee. Well, they've done it a lot lately.
Yeah. That's why nobody wants to stay there.
I think they ended up signing Northern Iowa? Is that who they're playing in the game?
I think so.
Yeah. When we come back on Three Man Front, we will tell you who Tennessee has found to play them in a home and away series. That's next on Three Man Front.
St. Ray Charles. Three-man front, we continue on this Wednesday. Landrum, Pat, Conrad, Molly hanging out. No hitter to talk about right now.
No. But I was telling you before the break, so back in 2006, everybody applauded the University of Nebraska because they said, hey, we want to play the best. We want to play the University of Tennessee. We want to play an SEC powerhouse. So they signed a contract. Remember the good old days when people used to adhere to contracts, Landrum?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
A man's word was worth his bond. You know what I'm saying?
All you needed was a handshake
Yeah.
and a look in the eye.
Yeah.
You knew.
Mm-hmm. It was done.
Not anymore.
No.
They don't value things like that in the Midwest.
Nope, they don't. Not like good old Southern gentlemen, right?
That's right.
A deal's a deal.
A deal is a deal.
2006, that deal was consummated between the likes of the University of Nebraska and the University of Tennessee. They were going to play 2 football games, one in Lincoln, one in Knoxville.
Seems fair to me.
Yep, sure does. Till this last year when that old guy named Coach Rule decided, you know what, we don't want to play the SEC.
No, not only that, let's just do away with A-Day as well.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Day.
Yep.
Scarlet Day.
Mm-hmm.
Balloon Day.
Because of that, that put one of our member institutions in the Southeastern Conference in harm's way.
Disgusting.
Don't act like you care about Tennessee.
Tennessee had to try. I'm talking now, Molly.
Okay.
That was good, Molly.
Thank you.
So the University of Tennessee had to go out and try to find itself a top-notch opponent. Not some non-Power 4 team like Northern Iowa just to fill your coffers and to make everybody false hope, thinking your team's going to be worth a darn. So Tennessee called a former Southeastern Conference member, and I'm not talking about Sewanee. I'm not talking about Tulane.
Oh.
I'm talking about the Georgia Institute of Technology. And you know what? Trustful's Brent Key stepped up and he said, I'm going to help an SEC school out. I'll play you. We'll play you twice. Not just once. We'll play you twice. Now, one time you're going to have to come to Atlanta in 2026, but in 2027, we'll play in Knoxville. So hats off to former Southeastern Conference member, the Georgia Institute of Technology, the Yellow Jackets. They have stepped up to help your own.
Bring back values to America. Bring back values to college football scheduling. Yeah.
Like I said, don't act like you care about Tennessee. I know you don't. You only care about Ole Miss.
I applaud Jim Phillips for getting this done. I'm sure he played a hand in it. We've been harsh on old Phillips, so good for Jim.
You see Jim Phillips stepped up and said we need to help the SEC out?
Well, he just didn't want to have, one of his institutions with a bad reputation like Nebraska, so.
True. Well, you might be asking yourself, when's the best time to shop for diamonds? And that's actually right now because April is Diamond Month at Diamonds Direct. Whether you're looking for an engagement ring, an amazing anniversary gift, or something special for your mom with Mother's Day coming up, or even a grad coming up here soon, they've got it all and all at amazing prices as well. Seriously, I love this place, so go check them out for yourself at Diamonds Direct.
Bought all my rings there. Yep.
They're beautiful.
And they do what they say, and they do what they say they're going to do at Diamonds Direct.
Do they have different kinds of rings?
They do, Conrad. Would you like a nice dinner ring?
A dinner ring?
For you to wear when Paige takes you to dinner?
Sure.
Nice dinner ring.
Do they have an after dinner ring?
Cut, color, clarity. They have an after dinner ring. Why don't you get your belly button pierced?
Do they do that?
Charlie could probably find something. Or Dee, she could find you something. That would look great on you, I'm sure.
Which ear is it that I would need to get pierced?
I don't know anymore.
I don't either.
I don't know.
It's hard to keep up.
Yep. I think that's outdated. I don't think that matters anymore.
I just feel bad for Molly. She's had a rough time with her intros to her spots today. We've just have not set her up well at all. We have put her in some rough situations.
Well, I blame Matt Rule for that.
That's fair.
It gets to a point where I just choose to ignore you guys sometimes.
Well, it's Matt Rule's fault.
Yeah, it's not our fault. We just read the news.
Thanks, Indiana.
We've seen a different side of Matt Rule since he took that job.
Yes. It's not this innocent coach in Waco, Texas that used to listen to three-man front every day.
No, not a guy that was cutting his teeth at a place called Temple winning football games. No. Now he's in the
goes to a program with a little bit of history and
Gets a guaranteed contract.
goes to the head.
Yep. Doesn't like playing in the cold.
Not a fan of it.
Stealing players from Georgia.
Letting players into vape shops after hours.
Was that him or was that previous coach? I
I
don't want to put that on rule.
I can't remember. I can't keep up with all that.
I did see where
Eric Gilbert's after hours shopping spree. which he used a
Raiola was
brick.
in Las Vegas. Did you see that for the Crown Championship?
Yes, I did. Cheering on the team.
Mm-hmm. 700,000 people watched that mess over the weekend.
That mess.
We were bowling last night and one of the TVs had Florida and Florida State baseball on.
Ooh.
And I swear there was a guy in the dugout for Florida looked just like Todd Golden. I was like, so now that he's won a championship, is he going and cheering for other teams?
The way Florida
on
baseball's
campus.
played lately, maybe they want him to
Yeah,
come throw out the
good luck
first pitch
charm.
every night. Come see Todd Golden. Meet the basketball team.
Did they hang on to win that game last night, by the way?
I don't know.
They were up 5-2 and it was 5-4. And
I don't know. Congrats, either FSU Dave or PG. One of you was a winner last night.
Alabama, they won their game.
Yeah, they beat Southern Miss last night, and Auburn beat Georgia Tech. So a couple of ranked wins for both teams last night.
I've been told Florida won last night, by the way.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And Auburn beat Georgia Tech last night over in Atlanta.
Yep. And
Had a
Alabama beat
grand
Southern Miss.
slam early in the game. Cooper McMurray. Was just watching the highlight on Twitter that came across the feed. Yeah, 5-4 they won over Florida State. So I didn't miss anything.
Just a couple of top 15 baseball programs right here. Alabama and Auburn, pretty cool.
That is really cool. We get you up to date on other baseball going on. Also, Pat's got some questions, and Conrad has seen something. Pat Potter's the worst thing I've seen. We'll do it next. Do have some clarification from our friends on the text line about the Masters pimento cheese at Mrs. Stratton's. Apparently, and I don't know this, I'll take our listeners' word for it, that Mrs. Stratton's uses their recipe, so ingredients, everything that the Masters specifies for their pimento cheese, and they co-pack it. So they have the facility to mass produce it, and that's where the Mrs. Stratton's comes in. So thank you for the clarification from our great listeners on the text line.
Call Golston Tree Service for all your needs around your home. If you got some trees that you believe are in trouble, they can have an arborist come to your home. They can take a look at your situation, assess any issues. And if you get a storm damage and you got some trees down and you need taken care of, 205-337-4018 at Golston Tree Service, operated by a certified arborist. Golston Tree Service handles those little jobs like trimming hedges or shaping trees, which they've been out doing the last couple of days. They've also had multiple teams out in central Alabama dealing with all that storm damage that we had over the weekend of those heavy rains. So call them today, 205-337-4018. And as always, 24-hour emergency storm work. So if something happens in the middle of the night, you can call them. They'll take care of it. 205-337-4018.
See where Yankees outfielder Cody Bellinger has sworn off chicken wings after his food poisoning for 5 years.
No. He had food poisoning, and guess what? He double dipped last night, got the wings again, posted it, and said, I'm going for round 2. I don't agree with that decision, but he double dipped on the bad wings.
So I'm wondering why he did that, because the story just came out 15 minutes ago, where he had announced his decision today, 2 days after he consumed some room service chicken wings at the Yankees team hotel in Detroit. And he said he woke up at 4 a.m. sweating and just started throwing up for a few hours. It was a tough morning. I did not have that experience with mine. Mine were.
Yeah, and in an airport.
Yeah.
On an airplane.
Or aircraft.
Yes. Yeah. I was affected in the southern region.
Yeah, I meant to send that to you yesterday and see if I could get you to give me some advice to pass along to Cody and help him through this tough time. But he's a warrior.
If you're ever in the Dayton airport and you're at that restaurant that is not a chain and she tells you our specialty is chicken wings, just say no and go running. 5 questions from Pat we'll try to answer. This is what we call Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. They will not be oversold, undersold. You can call them right now. Go by and see them. Courtesy GMC in Trussville. All right, question number 1. So after the Nets were cut down on Monday night, Todd Golden looked at his phone and saw that he had a large number of unread text messages. 685 awaited his response. So the question is, what would you have done if you had been him? Would you have stayed up all night and answered them, given your phone to a manager on the team to copy and paste a response, or ignore people should know better that you're celebrating? Which of those 3 options would you have done? You just won the national championship and you had 685 unread text messages.
I'm gonna copy and paste an initial thank you so much, great season, and then go back through and hand select when I got some time to respond further to some of them.
Well, if I'm Todd Golden, first off, I'm not letting anyone else have my phone. But
point for Conrad.
Besides that, no, I mean, I think you go through and obviously, your mom texts you, your best friend from, like the people close to you in your circle, you go and you reach, thank you, I appreciate this, can't wait to talk to you after, we get done celebrating, all that stuff. But no, I think it's perfectly fine. You go celebrate with the team and you worry about it the next day or something. You get back to those people over the next couple of days, they'll understand you. You just achieved the pinnacle of your career. I think they understand if you don't get back to them for a day or 2.
Yeah, probably answer a bulk of them every couple of days with a copy and paste sort of message, but then it kind of depends on who you're sending it to. If it's like a distant friend or like a random cousin, like, oh, thanks, thanks for supporting. But if it's someone you're close to, then you can make it more like personal, I guess. For me, it would just depend on what the message is and who it's from. But it would be the copy and paste option for everybody else.
It was interesting because he literally had the net around his neck getting on a golf cart, and someone handed him his phone, and he looked down and he saw he had 685 unread text messages.
Todd, a lot of these texts are just initials with biology 101, chemistry 2. How are we supposed to decipher who these people are? How do we respond?
Or if it's 600 and something texts from the same person. Whoa. Be nice one time.
Think any co-eds were texting?
You think you got away with it?
Oh.
The jokes just write themselves.
And
Congratulations.
This
Todd.
fall was just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, I need you guys to pull out your phones and look at the text I just sent you.
Oh. Okay.
The LeBron James Ken doll will be available soon, as he's the first male athlete to be part of the new Ken Bassender line, a venture that's in collaboration with the LeBron James Family Foundation. Now, that doll that I just sent you the picture, that will go for $75.
I don't want to know what those are going to resell for on eBay.
What other male athlete would you like to see get their own Ken doll? I will say this, that is a striking resemblance.
Looks great.
To LeBron.
I mean, if you're going down that route, I mean, you probably have to go like Tom Brady, right? I mean, just saying, pretty good looking guy, takes very good care of himself. Like, I think that would be a route you would probably go.
I think Brady is good, but I think another one you could pick just because of his popularity would be Shohei.
That's a good one.
That is a very good one.
Like that would sell.
I think Bryce Harper, Freddie Freeman, any of the players that you don't like, you could contort their bodies, maybe set them on fire.
You're thinking of a voodoo doll.
Take the vigor. That's going to be my voodoo. I don't believe in voodoo, but.
Do that again. That's funny. Molly's making fun of Freddie Freeman's teeth. That was good.
They look like the keys on a piano.
The keys.
What about you?
I think Ohtani was an excellent.
That is a good one.
Thank you.
But I am impressed by the way this one looks.
Oh, it looks very realistic.
$75. So you wouldn't pay $75 for that to put in your collection?
No.
I mean, you got all those dolls at your house. What's it? What is it, Molly? The American Girl.
Oh yeah.
What is it?
American Girl dolls.
Yeah, American
He's got a
Girl. You
couple
told
of
me you
them.
got a collection of those.
Well, those are life size. That's different.
No, that's what Don has down at that place in the closet.
Are we gonna get the female athlete? I mean, I know we have tennis Barbie and all that other stuff, but
where's the Caitlin Clark Barbie? I know what you're getting
Yeah.
at. I know what you're getting at. I'm here for it.
I just want some equality.
I'm here for it.
You have Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, gymnast Barbie, Livy Dunn.
Somebody else that plays sports. Jenny Finch. Do people still like her?
Oh, who's the TCU girl?
Oh, Van Lith.
Yeah, you said and you were looking at some bikini pictures of her earlier. What is
Thanks,
she?
Pat. That's exactly what I was doing.
Wait, what was on your screen?
It said on 3.
She is
And
on the
she's on
cover
there,
of the
and
Sports
she is
Illustrated
a-
swimsuit.
Yes.
Okay.
And they gave her NIL valuation.
So she's a swimsuit model.
And a basketball player.
Okay.
Yes.
They were going for the Cavender twins, but they were too expensive.
Were they really?
I don't know. Well, there's 2.
Do Freddie Freeman again.
Got to pay double.
All right, next question. On this date in 1898, Earl Curly Lambeau was born in Wisconsin. He and fellow Green Bay native George Calhoun started the Packers in 1919. The stadium where the team plays now bears his name, Lambeau Field. If you were ranking the most iconic NFL teams, where would the Packers fall on your list?
1 or 2.
I think they're number 1.
Man,
It's tough between them and Dallas.
it is tough.
Really tough. But it would be. I would probably put the Cowboys number 1, to be honest. And the Packers would be number 2. I understand from a historic standpoint, though.
Yeah, from a historic standpoint, but I would say the Packers first because that whole deal with Jerry down there, it just seems like an expletive show.
See, I
Well,
agree.
right now, yeah.
Just a circus all the time. And besides the Aaron Rodgers stuff, when he's going back and forth, deciding whether he was going to stay in Green Bay or go, that was really the only thing you really ever heard out of Green Bay as far as the.
Yeah. But so we all agree.
Steelers would be top 5 for me.
I was going to say
agree.
Steelers would be number 3 for me. Either them or the 49ers.
Yeah, 49ers.
That would be the top 4. And then
Where does Chiefs, do Chiefs, do they, Chiefs, Jets, Giants?
I wouldn't put the Chiefs in there. I mean, they're an expansion franchise.
See, it's about. And this is probably a hot take because I understand that they did not have a great history before I was alive. It'd be hard not to put the Patriots up there just because of. I mean, I understand it was only like a 20-year period of the NFL, but they accomplished more in that 20-year period than anyone else probably ever will.
Just for helmet
true.
alone.
Yeah, it's
Original
hard.
Pat the Patriot.
It'd be
helmet.
hard not to put them in the. Now they'd clearly be behind those other 4.
I know you've gone to Lambeau. Did you know much about him as a individual?
No.
So he was like all world in the state of Wisconsin. He goes to Notre Dame and plays football. And he gets a bad case of tonsillitis. And he has to withdraw and he leaves Notre Dame. He gives up football. He goes back to Green Bay and he starts working at a meatpacking company. And so he decided he wanted to start his own football team. And when he started his own football team, the place where he worked decided, you know what? We'll sponsor you. Hence the name Packers. But I didn't realize that he played at Notre Dame. And
Nope.
because he had a severe case of tonsillitis, decided to leave South Bend and go back home and never returned. And then look what happened.
That's wild.
Started the Green Bay Packers.
The more you know.
There you have it.
I would have never known that.
Next question. What's a sport you'd love to try but are too scared to?
Cliff diving.
So that interests you?
Just for the thrill, yeah.
Okay.
But you screw up one time, it's over.
I'm trying to think of a sport that, is intimidating to play
I
from the
wish-
standpoint of, getting hurt or something.
If I could learn to, I just wish I knew how to ice skate a lot better than I do. I think it would be fun to play hockey
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Yeah.
That's a good one.
that'd
until
be a
you
good
got
one.
hit in the face and were missing all your teeth.
See, for me, it would be like when you watch the Winter Olympics, the snowboarding half pipe, where they do all the flips and stuff.
That's a good one.
I love to snowboard. Cannot do that though.
Downhill
will not
slalom,
try.
anything like that.
Yeah.
See, yeah, and I'm serious when I say this. Like doing the luge one time, I think would be super fun,
I
but
knew
it
you
would
were gonna
also
say that.
it would be scary though.
Two-man luge.
Yes.
It would be scary, but I just feel like it'd be so much fun. For the going down the hill part.
Did you ever figure out when you and, because I'm trying to get you hooked. I know someone at the Salt Lake
Mm-hmm.
when the Winter Olympics, trying to get you and Landrum out there because you said that you and Landrum wanted to do the two-man luge.
Sign us up.
Conrad wanted us to do the 2-man luge, and I said,
And Landrum agreed
no
to
way.
do it with me. Yes.
And the only way that I would do it, number one, is if somebody's life depended on it. Number
Well, I was trying to
two,
figure
My
out.
life depends on
Number
I was trying to figure
two,
out the positioning.
I'm definitely the guy on top.
it. Oh, I thought it was more of like a scissor thing. What?
On the scissor thing.
Like interlocking legs so you don't fall off the luge?
Oh, I think you're getting this confused with your swing activities that you have there at the house.
Maybe. I'm sorry. Pat's looking at me like a disappointed parent right now.
Pat's just disappointed he can't say what he wants to
Yeah.
say. That's bad. No, there's no disappointment there. No. He's disappointed that he can't follow up with a line.
Well, save that one for the podcast.
Yeah.
That's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful Exit 32 off of I-459 on Edwards Lake Road next to Lowe's.
We see good and we see bad. Conrad has apparently seen something worse than what he just said. That's next on Three Man Front.
Coming up at the top of the hour, it's the Paul Feinbaum Show. One of his featured guests this afternoon will be Bucky McMillan, the new head coach of the Texas A&M Fightin' Aggies. That interview will take place at 5 o'clock.
Well, coming up the month of April, it's a big one for Trim Tab Brewing. Thursday, April 24th is the NFL Draft Party, and we will be there. Me and Pat will be there. So Red Mountain Crawfish will be there starting at 2 p.m., and Tub the Band will also be there from 7 to 10. Also kicking things off with all of the Trim Tab events. We've got the Masters this weekend, so starting tomorrow, April 10th, all the way to the 13th. Go by and catch the Masters all weekend long. Also this weekend on the 12th, Faith Skate Supply will be there with plenty of skating starting at noon with music, vendors, and so much more.
We see good, we see bad. Conrad has seen something bad. This is what we call the worst thing I've seen.
So I have a, excuse me, I have an audio aid that I will present to the group here in just a minute to go along with today's story. But unfortunately, for the worst thing I've seen, we are going up to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Unfortunately, we're talking about a funeral that took place days ago in the city of Philadelphia for a man by the name of Benjamin Aviles, who passed away in late March.
Was cause of death listed?
No.
Oh.
Cause of death was not listed.
Okay.
But his entire family at the funeral, as you would expect, and anybody that's been to a funeral, you know, typically maybe you have a viewing ceremony or something at the funeral home, and then at that point they close the casket, or if it's closed casket, they will then take it and the pallbearers will place it in the hearse. The hearse will drive up to the funeral site where they will then remove the coffin, take it up on the platform where they will have the ceremony, and then ultimately lower the casket down into the grave. Well, we almost got there at Mr. Aviles' funeral up in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, when the pallbearers were carrying the coffin and putting it on the platform there at the burial site, the platform collapsed.
What?
And the entire family with the coffin
Oh, no.
falls into the grave.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
The entire platform collapses. Unfortunately, his son, the deceased, his son was on the bottom, and so he ended up getting crushed by the casket. So he's laying in the bottom of the grave with his father and his casket on top of him. Multiple pallbearers were hurt. Injuries included leg, hand, and back injuries. Fortunately, they were able to get everyone out of the grave site, but just an absolutely horrific sight. You're already there. Everyone's very emotional given the circumstances.
Wait a minute though. How does this happen? Because typically they'll have plywood.
Yes.
And then under that they'll put like the caping where it looks like the green kind of cheap outdoor carpet.
Yes, it does. But in the video, which you can go find on social media, yeah, it very clearly just gives out under, I guess, the weight of all of the men putting the casket on there.
Big people?
They were a little bit bigger, but
okay.
I mean, you would think that it would be able to hold them.
Yeah.
So now, before we wrap this up, let's go listen to some reports there from the funeral site of some people and what actually happened for eyewitnesses that were there.
The pallbearers carried Benjamin Aviles to his final resting spot. As they began to lay down the casket, the platform above the burial site collapses, sending the men plunging into the burial hole.
It was just a horrible incident that happened in a bad moment.
Aviles' stepdaughter, Maribel Rodriguez, says the men who fell into the hole all suffered injuries, mostly to their legs, hands, and back. Aviles' son suffered the worst of it.
The casket laid on top of him, and he was out like a light. His face was in the mud.
So there you have it. That is, unfortunately, the worst thing that I've seen up there in Philadelphia. Glad that everyone seems to be okay. There were injuries, as you heard, but seems like everyone's going to make a full recovery, but very unfortunate.
That's another reason for me to get cremated.
Yeah. Not a bad
I don't want
call.
that to happen to you and Pat when you're carrying
Well, I appreciate that.
my box.
It's very thoughtful.
Well, thanks, Conrad. That was worth sharing. Pallbearer safety out there, everybody. That's going to do it for us. We appreciate all of our guests, Ben Portnoy, Coach Skip Holtz, and also Peter Rauterkus. Portnoy. There it is. Paul Feinbaum. And Bucky McMillan, new head coach of Texas A&M. From all of us to all of you, Masters begins tomorrow. Get your pimento cheese and your egg salad ready.